Good evening, everybody. Tonight's show is produced with the help of Doc Bones, and we want to make this assertion up front. Any and all advice here is given with the assumption that there is better medical help somewhere else, but if there's not, take what you hear here and learn from it. So here we go. Sorry, mouse is having issues.
Okay.
There
Hey
we go.
guys, I see y'all. How are you?
We're doing good here.
Good. Glad to hear it. It's nice down here, nice and warm. How about you guys?
Oh,
Probably not. Right?
I spent a half hour out there getting 4 inches of snow off the driveway.
Oh man,
It was supposed to be less than an inch.
snow is beautiful as long as you don't have to shovel it, huh?
It was an electric snowblower.
Oh, nice. Okay, well there you go.
and
That's-
before we get too far started, the other day when Gil and I were on live, we checked and we couldn't find no kits. Guess what? They got kits back on their website.
Yay!
Yeah, we actually got a shipment of some coveralls and things like that. So we do have some personal protection gear available for folks that want it.
So if you have been unable to find any, now's the time to go get it.
Yep, I think there is probably going to be a limit to the number of masks, especially that we're gonna have certainly in our supply. And I'll tell you, we have just a lot of folks that are trying to just make sure they have the kind of supplies that they need.
Yeah, I swung by Home Depot last week. Prices for a 3-pack of N95 was $7.54. That's twice what it was 3 weeks ago.
I was about to say that seems to be on a pretty good price considering. I mean, it was more expensive a week ago or so, and now it seems to be even more expensive. It just depends. And I've seen it on eBay for even more. But there's basically, just make sure that you have whatever it is that you possibly can put together just in case of an outbreak. Hopefully, we won't have to deal with that in this country, but certainly we have to be prepared.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I had somebody bring up a question the other day to me, and I gave them what I thought was an answer, but I told them to tune in tonight because I figured I'd ask you.
Okay.
There is a question about masks, be it the cheap, thin ones that they use for visiting people, or the N35s, the N99s, and 100s. Is there a big difference if somebody's breathing through their mouth or through their nose as far as moisture degrading the mask?
You get more if you're breathing through your mouth. And I know that because of many years doing surgery when I had, let's say, a cold and I had a stuffy nose to breathe through my mouth, I wound up, getting the mask very wet.
So that would limit its.
No, it makes it maybe a little less effective, but still not less effective enough that you don't want to wear it. You definitely want to wear, especially as a caregiver, you want to have at least an N95. This one here is an N95, and what you have to look for with an N95 is that it is NIOSH. Whoops, upside down. That it says the word NIOSH, NIOSH, National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and that indicates that it meets the requirements for an N95 mask. The N95 mask requirements are that it must be able to filter out particulates that are 95% of particulates that are greater than 0.3 microns in size. Now, look here. Let's pretend that I had a human hair that I cut in cross-section and that you're looking at the cross-section. This plate-sized thing is a cross-section of a human hair. Now, I want you to look real close. Do you see a dot? You see a dot, guys?
Yep.
Yep.
That dot is 1 micron. So this N95 mask filters out 95% of particulates that are 1/3 the size of that dot. And remember, the circle is the diameter of a human hair. So it's pretty good item to have. I have a number. I had a couple of different ones here. Okay, well, I have this one. So let me demonstrate this one. Basically, what you need to do with these, when you put them on, you hold it in your hand like this, put it onto your face. Okay, the first band that you have goes over the crown of your head. You pull this down over your chin. Okay, and there should be a second. Okay, of course. Oh, here. Oh, it's right here. All right. And the second one goes over and under your ears, so on the nape of your neck. Then you stretch this out, and what you have to do is do what we call a fit test. A proper fit test involves taking your hands, both hands at once, and molding the mask to the contour of your face. Okay? And then you hold the mask, but not putting pressure on it, but just holding it in place. Then you breathe in sharply, and what you should feel is maybe a slight indentation. If it's a tight fit, if it's a good fit. And then what you do is you breathe out and see if you feel any air coming out over the bridge of your nose, on your cheeks, things like that. If you don't, then you have a proper fit for the mask. To take it off, what you do is you'll take off the bottom one first, like this. You don't want to touch the front of your. By the way, you may still have gloves on, but you're not going to want to touch the front of the mask if you can help it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the upper band way up here, and as you remove it, you want to avoid touching the front of the mask. Have you ever seen those TV shows where the doctor comes out of the operating room or the ER, and his mask is here, just sort of hanging, and the ties are hanging down? Well, that's bad because the front of your mask is contaminated, and so he just put whatever that was there, coronavirus or whatever you want to consider that might be contagious. He put it right on his chest. So it's important to make sure you have a good fit and that you put it on correctly and you take it off correctly. Oh, you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, okay. Good.
I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Everybody's saying hi to each other out there.
Okay. Hey, everybody.
And so far, no questions. That's good. That means we have a very thorough explanation.
Yeah. To the guys in the chat, guys, remember, hit that thumbs up like button.
I'm not worried about that, but if you do, thank you. So, the other night when you were on PepperNet,
Yes.
you went over a few different pieces of I can't speak, personal protection gear.
Mm-hmm.
Considering right now that the U.S. is not in pandemic stage, or at least not considered part of it. Should the U.S. become part of a pandemic issue, should we start trying to stock up on more, like Tyvek suits or stuff like that? Or should
let me tell you a little bit about pandemics. We are not at a pandemic stage, believe it or not, right now, even though we have certainly had tens of thousands, maybe hundreds, might be 100,000 or more cases out there that haven't been reported of this particular virus. We're not at a pandemic stage yet because the World Health Organization has certain phase alerts for pandemics. There are 6 levels, and we're probably at about level 4, where we have community-wide outbreaks in a large number of communities in one country. And so that's where we're at right now, but no community-wide outbreaks in other countries. There are probably about 28 other countries, I think, or so, where the coronavirus has occurred, but it's occurred as a result of somebody traveling either from China or or who is connected with somebody who traveled from China, and they're not really originating in Wisconsin and Paris and places like that. They're really originating in China, and they can be traced to China. Now, if, for example, there is a community-wide outbreak in more than one country, but in the same region, well, that's a level 5. And an example of that would be the Ebola epidemic. Remember, the Ebola epidemic in 2014 was in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, but those places were all adjacent countries in one region. Now, a level 6 pandemic would be if the people in Chicago that got infected wound up causing a community-wide outbreak there, or people in Paris or people in some other country that's in a different part of the world wind up causing community-wide outbreaks that are just multiplying from human-to-human transmission that's going on there. And if that's the case, then you've got an actual pandemic level 6 alert from the World Health Organization. Now, of course, everybody should have, personal protection gear, just like everybody should have food, and everybody should have a means of personal defense, and people should have a medical kit. It's just part of being part of the preparedness community. And the types of things that you would have, you mentioned, Tyvek, coveralls. These are no longer in the room, but they basically are a type of plastic coverall that, if you've got the right one, will have a hood attached to it. And that will allow you to have a mask, a hood, and maybe goggles, because the eye has to be protected too. Eyes have to be protected too. And it covers essentially all of your face, prevents splatter from getting in your eyes, and also your mask will prevent things getting in your nose and mouth. Now, the thing is, people don't realize how important and how common it is to get infected through your eye. If people sneeze, some of these aerosolized droplets, wind up in your eye. Well, what happens is that the eye sort of washes itself out, and they go into the tear duct. And the tear duct connects directly to the nasal airways and connects directly to the oral airways. And, well, there you now become a host for a virus. So that's really important. You've got to have the right equipment. This is okay. A goggle is okay as long as it's indirectly vented. They'll usually look like this. Have one of these items on either side that helps you indirectly vent. This is a face shield. Let me see if I can get this out. Yep. And if this is not your cup of tea, you can have a face shield that will prevent splatter from getting in your eyes. Now, this does not mean you don't have to wear a mask. You absolutely have to wear a mask with this or this, but you don't have to wear this and this with a mask. So one of these two would be acceptable.
Okay, there is one question there. Can you read it? It's on the screen. Question is, saying a shortage of medical masks, which industrial mask would you suggest?
Painter's masks. If you go to Home Depot and look for painter's masks, you'll find some that are probably fine. They'll be much more expensive, but a P95 instead of an N9. If you can find N95s there, which sometimes you can, take a look there, or Lowe's or whatever lumber store you happen to have in your neck of the woods would be useful. If they have P95s, that's the kind that is used for industrial work or painters, things like that, or maybe agricultural workers, and that's even more protective. It's much more than what you need for a biological contaminant, but because it's also useful for chemicals, certain chemicals and things like that. But that would work also if you could only find it that way.
Can I chime in here on something real quick on this?
Please.
Dave, can you share? Oh, wait a minute. Let me do this. I forgot to do it. Share
Yeah, I think it's
screen.
there if you don't put it up there.
Yeah, that's right. Share. Okay. Okay. So I used to work hazmat,
Oh, there you
and we used to use this type, the North masks, and the full face one. I got some of these. These prices have not changed in the last year.
go. Awesome.
All right. Now, besides the full face, they have the half face. Now, this purple cartridge here, that is a N100 filter. But over that, we used to wear as well these little things which would snap on over it, and then we'd have the little the two-part filter that goes inside, which is also N95, double layered. And so, yeah,
Were those disposable?
yes, these little ones are disposable. You pop off this cap off the end of the cartridge, and you throw the little pad away, and then you have the special wipes, the special alcohol wipes that come for the North brand stuff to wipe down not only this, but wiping down the whole mask, whether it's the half face or the full face. And we had to wipe these down every time we used them with those special alcohol wipes, inside and out.
Well, the good thing about those, they're much more expensive, but indeed they are reusable, and that's, I think, very important. Also, I wonder, do you think these things give protection against chemical splash?
Oh yeah, in fact, the right here, the green cartridge there
Yeah.
is for organics, and let's see if I got the for organic solvents and stuff. This yellow one, hydrogen sulfide vapors, hydrochloric acid, chlorine. Yeah,
Sure, that stuff would overcome you in no time at all. So that's those are awesome to have. If you have the financial wherewithal to get those, that would be great.
Yeah. They do also have the cheaper 3M painter's masks, which are P95s or P99.
Hey, Will,
And those prices haven't changed. Yeah.
Those are good. But those are those reusable?
The cartridge, yeah, the cartridge, the mask is reusable, and it has the protection coverage on it.
All right then. All right, cool. Well, I have no problem with those at all.
Yeah. Dave, you started to say something?
How comfortable are they?
I've wore the full face ones for a 12-hour day.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
you're getting feedback through your second
I'm sold. Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. He's just got a little bit of feedback on his end.
I'm trying to see. That's turned off. This is isolated. Strange. I wonder. I think let me go ahead and kill my green screen, because that may be causing stuff. They're no longer on a spaceship.
Okay, that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Sometimes our computers just aren't fast enough to run as fast as we'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not as fast enough to run as fast as I'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a spring chicken no more. So
up there, Yardbirds made a comment about the Home Depot
Mhm.
has the P95 mask, the 2-pack, for $9 as of yesterday. Last week I got a 3-pack for $7. Prices are going up.
Yeah. Well, it's just a matter of supply and demand. You're going to find if I go to Home Depot, I'll probably wouldn't find all of the Tyvek, or at least boxes of Tyvek that ordinarily I can find them if I just go there. But nowadays you just don't see them anymore. They're hard to find, and of course the N95s too. But that's just supply and demand.
okay, Lori brought up a question, and we understand they're single use, but how long? Let's say you have to go out for an extended period of time. How long should you consider a mask adequate enough to be safe? Is there an hour limit that you should stop and change masks, or?
I would think as a session, I think you could probably. It depends on the amount of time, the times that you're going to actually be touching your face or touching the mask itself. It really depends. Now, if you're wearing gloves, let's say, that might be a little more protective. It might last a little bit longer, but you have to remember what do people do? People touch their hands to their faces all the time. I mean, and so to me, I think that it just depends a little bit on how much contamination the mask gets. If it doesn't get too wet, if you're not touching the mask with your hands, if people aren't sneezing on your face, for example, then I think that makes a difference. If you're wearing one of these, then it's less likely, for example, that you're going to wind up touching the mask or wind up contaminating the mask. I think this will make it last longer. So this is not a bad idea in terms of a combination face shield and mask, especially if you want the mask to last longer. Of course, in normal times, all of these things should be disposed of. And I remember times that I've changed masks several times during a procedure. And those were the days when of course, we had unlimited supplies. We're a rich country. I used to, every time I put a stitch in, I used to cut the needle off. And, sometimes I'd use 50 needles in an operation. And now I teach people how to use one string for an entire procedure. So it's just amazing how you have to think a little bit outside the box when the supplies are low.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. On just for anyone that's wondering, the ones where you have the solid rubber mask and then the disposable filters on them.
Yes.
The neat thing about those is they have a rubber baffle in there that keeps you from any moisture getting back out to those filters, so they never get moist from the inside. Outside, it's another story, whatever's going on outside. But from the inside, they're protected.
Well, like I said, they look super high tech, and I'll bet if you can wear them for 12 hours in a row, I mean, they have obviously thought out the engineering for these masks, got that all thought out. So not a bad choice if you have the dough.
Yep.
Karen asked the question, but I'm pretty sure you already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. She says, Doc, she made a face shield out of a 2-liter bottle for the kids. Do you think that will work? Yeah,
I think so. Basically, we cut it. Did she cut it vertically? Is that what you're saying? How'd she do it?
Without her answering, I'm going to assume that's what she did to give it the.
All right. Yeah. I don't see any problem. I don't see any problem with doing that at all. I mean, basically, it's the plastic is not much different than this.
Right. If you just put this in a circle.
Yeah.
And just splitting the backside of the box.
Come on over here.
No, I just want to be the outside assistant.
I don't want to punish people too much by having to have to look at me.
Square here.
Now you got something to look at.
Oh, stop. Here, you should demonstrate it, honey.
Yeah.
All right, we got to behave.
I already did.
I was just letting you be the boss.
No.
Yeah. Karen said that's what she did. She cut the top and bottoms off, split it down the side, and then opened it up.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, if you want to be fancy, you can get let's see, maybe some kind of foam. I'm trying to think what would be the easiest thing. I was thinking of those pool noodles, but they're a little stiff. You want something squishy, because this part right here is strictly for comfort and for fit. So you can actually push it on your head. Of course, I have the strap there, but there's all kinds of foam you can buy.
Right. I mean, the bottom line
Packing
is
foam.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely.
Of invention. I want you to think outside the box. Do what you can to improvise your medical supplies. I mean,
duct tape. I want to say duct tape. Mm-hmm. You can make a lot of things out of duct tape.
Right. We have a video on our YouTube channel that shows her bandaging like 7 different kinds of wounds with just one triangular
triangular
bandage,
bandages,
Right.
right? There you
which
go.
which we just
and
which
can,
we just cut out of sheets.
which you can MacGyver with sheets, of course. White sheets are amazing for bandages, which is what they used in the Civil War. I mean, we're not reinventing, we're rediscovering.
Right.
It's always fun to invent new things.
Yeah.
And again,
So anyhow, I wanted to talk a little bit about. I wanted to talk a little bit
Hi,
about.
everybody. They're saying hi.
This is Abe. I just want to talk a little bit about something called the RO number. We were talking about it just before the show, and the RO number or R naught number. It's an R with an O where a comma would be. That basically tells you the amount of transmissibility of a organism, of a virus, for example. And what I mean by that is if I took somebody that was infected with the coronavirus and I put them into a community which has never been exposed to the coronavirus, how many people would they infect? And that number is different based on what kind of virus it is. The viruses in the coronavirus family, which include SARS, sudden acute respiratory syndrome, and MERS, Middle East respiratory syndrome, they're all between 3 and 5, pretty much. Let's see. Oh, well, Amy's got an entire, well, that's a whole list of every virus.
It's insane. Well, I was trying to get the picture of it to show them what the RO looks like.
Oh, the R,
hold
okay.
that up.
The RO looks like that. So that's the R naught. That's why they call it the R naught.
Right.
And it just means reproduction number. And so if you are the infected person and you are unable to infect more than one person, then an epidemic is less likely to occur. That's that noise you hear is our African,
Shut up.
is our parrot. Maybe I should bring the parrot in here.
The bird's like, ah.
They have a parrot and he talks just like her, actually. Or actually, she talks just like her.
Listen.
He's 33 years old, and we just found out it was a female 2 years ago when it laid an egg for the first time.
Tiny little eggs.
Tiny little eggs. Well, anyhow.
Anyway.
Okay, so
Continue. See,
back
I'm here
to
interrupting. That's
all
why I
right.
didn't want to come.
All right. So anyhow, the R naught value for Ebola, the R naught value for the Spanish flu, these were about 2. So every person that got infected about 2 people. And if you can do that, then it's an epidemic that will spread. And indeed, the coronavirus that we see here has an R naught value of 3, 4, something like that, maybe even a little bit more. And so it is highly transmissible. And indeed, that's why you're seeing so many so much of an increase in the numbers on a daily basis, which, by the way, the numbers are indeed much more than that. It's just what we know of. And there are a lot of people just hiding in their homes, sick, trying to get over it and hoping they don't have to go to the hospital. I want to say that there are some really, really transmissible viruses, like, let's say, Zika virus. Zika virus actually has a R naught number of 6, but indeed, it doesn't have a very high fatality number. Most people don't die of Zika. They may have babies that have deformities as a result, but there are very few people that died from Zika. However, there were plenty of people that died from Ebola and from the Spanish flu, which was basically the Ebola virus had about a 45% a death rate, fatality rate, even though it had a lower transmissibility rate than even the coronavirus. The measles virus was so transmissible that if one person wound up in a community that it was previously free of any kind of infection, well, indeed, 18 people, 12 to 18 people wound up getting infected. So that means that if you were in the same room, if you were infected and you were in the same room with somebody else, well, that person had probably about a 90% chance of becoming infected. So pretty crazy numbers with regards to both not just infectivity, but also fatality. But the transmissibility is not always match up with the fatality. So hopefully we'll have a lesser number of fatalities, and hopefully the number of people that wind up getting infected, hopefully the grand majority of them will have mild infections. It sounds as if everybody is dying from this disease, but it is not the case. The majority of people do seem to recover. There are indeed, they're weird about the numbers with recovery, because they do wait a long time before they announce that somebody has recovered. That's why you see that there are 28,000 cases, but there are only 1,000 people that have recovered, because they're still monitoring people for quite a while before they'll say that they are indeed recovered from the virus itself.
There has been several issues brought up as of late on various other YouTube streams about asymptomatic, both before and after, having the virus.
Yes, you indeed are eligible to transmit the virus to someone else even if you don't have symptoms yet. The incubation rate, the incubation period, which is the time between when the virus goes into your body and you begin to have symptoms, can range from 2 to 14 days, the average about 5.2, according to one study that I saw. And you can get people sick during that time. And those people don't have to show fever, show temperatures or other kinds of symptoms for another few days after that. As a matter of fact, the grand majority of the people that came over to this country and that are cases here in the United States, there are 12 of them, I think, right now. Those people, the grand majority of them showed up in our country without symptoms and got sick a few days later. And sure enough, wound up showing an actual signs, full-blown infection after they showed up here. And one of them infected her husband, another one infected another family member, I think. And so, there's definitely the ability to wind up infecting other people, certainly.
I think that in and of itself is why a lot of places like Johns Hopkins and some of the other sites that are trying to figure out the R naught are saying that it's higher than what China is putting out because of the asymptomatic before. And Germany proved that patient zero, not the lady that came from China to Germany and then went back, but the patient zero from Germany was still semi-contagious after he went through his fever period and all that. After his fever broke, for like 6 days afterwards, he still had some of the virus in his system. So
it's like Zika. Zika is a example of that. For many months, they were telling people, don't try to get pregnant, because even after you've recovered, it's still in your body. So we have definitely examples of these things that they seem to leave, but they might still be there. And there's just not enough time that's gone by for us to know how infective those people past their active infection, past the fever, past the runny nose and the cough and whatever they end up getting, mild or severe, after that's passed, can they still transmit it? I mean, this is all so new. There's so many studies to be done. I mean, they're handing out research forms to fill out. We got actually a notice from the state of Florida that if you were a doctor and you ran across a person that needed testing, you had some forms to fill out. And, there was a lot of questions to answer on this because they're trying to gather data. So they're trying to come up with standardized research questions to send into the center, CDC here, up in Atlanta, to kind of put together all this stuff so they can get an idea. Because again, I'm sure you've talked about this already. I don't think they're getting enough information from China. There's just too many puzzle pieces that are unknown. I mean, this is like when, Zika broke out, and when Ebola and Zika broke out, and then suddenly the people who happen to be pregnant to have Zika were suddenly having these babies, and they're saying, hey, is this related? They didn't know for a while because, you have a few cases, and then they had to put all these puzzle pieces together. So there's so many unknowns. It's kind of scary because we're trying to put our statistics together
Right.
based on China numbers, but then we hear they're burning bodies, like someone said in the chat room. And we've heard the same thing. And have we ever been able to trust China to tell us anything truthfully? I don't think so. So
I mean,
if they're pulling people out of apartments and throwing them into vans and then disappearing off in the distance, and we don't know what's happening to their bodies or even what those people had. So we just don't know. It's frightening. I do know one thing, not to be scared, because we live in the United States, and thankfully we have shut down travel. We're not allowing a bunch of planes full of 350 people to come in, 400 times a day. And can you imagine multiplying that times possible infections that were given on the airplane times people who then go to their families? I mean, it's mind-boggling. So I really feel very comfortable about where I live and being in this country and what we can do, even if there's a few cases. I think we'll have this under control.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
You want to share up that my screen there for them?
What do you got?
I got the R naught chart.
I suppose.
Oh, good. Yep. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So basically, as explained, so everyone knows, this is your patient 0, the first cycle. And on the bottom one here, they would infect 4 people. Those 4 would infect 4 more, giving you 16. They each would infect 4 more, giving you 64, et cetera, et cetera. So in like 10 cycles, you're at 200,000 people.
Right. So the higher you are not, the faster this epidemic would spread. And one, if in other words, if I infected basically one person, then it probably would not really, as you can see from this chart, and as I had said earlier,
Right.
that you probably aren't going to get a epidemic out of that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, Dave.
that's a good chart. It's an interesting chart.
It is that it shows the multiples. But, again, we're talking about infections. And then, on the whole other side is then your death rate. So you look at this, there could be 274, I think that was in the billions, people sick, but maybe 1,000 people who died. I mean, it just is going to depend on the death rate. It's like saying 70 billion people got a cold. Well, probably not too many people die from, head colds these days. So it is a very low death rate. I mean, that's what we hope for this. We just don't know. If they've actually had hundreds of thousands of people who've had the coronavirus and it's been going on since who knows when, October or November, and they just didn't pick it up, and there's only this many people that died for real, then we've got a really low death rate, which is great news. So I really wish that we had better numbers for both the infections and the death rate so we could just feel more comfortable.
Right.
Well,
It's true.
Here, I pulled up a site that I ran across by accident, and it shows a little bit more current than Johns Hopkins does. But I think that's because Johns Hopkins only updates it every few hours. What mainstream media hasn't been talking about, and here it'll scroll over to it here in a second. There are several areas on the mainstream map that are white. They say, oh, there's no problems over there. Give it a second, it'll rotate. But yeah, right there. You see all that blue? The mainstream media isn't covering that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not talking about any of that. They're saying, oh, these places are fine. There's no problems there. But most of the blue areas have almost no healthcare system.
Yeah.
So if one person down there does catch it, most of those hospitals down there are nothing more than a tent in the middle of the wilderness with a couple extra sheets hung between any areas. I mean, they're not true hospitals or army surgical tents.
You're absolutely right. They're just, and like you said, one patient could overwhelm a hospital if they only have one intensive care bed. Maybe they've got the respirator and the oxygen and the equipment to take care of that one patient. And then the rest of the family members come in and they say, oops, sorry, we can't take care of you. I mean, and that's just poor healthcare. Then we're talking about crowding. think about what's going on in India. I mean, imagine that spreading through I mean, they've got all kinds of sanitation problems and crowding and where they bathe and where they clean their clothes and where they go to the bathroom. And some of those are all in the same places. I mean, that's frightening.
And
Now, what
that's
is
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Doc.
That's what I was going to go into, what we're actually hearing from some doctors in the field that are actually taking care of these folks that are looking for different cures. And one doctor or two doctors in Thailand say they had a patient that was 70 years old and had tested positive for the coronavirus for 10 days. And then they mixed up a cocktail of sorts of high dose Tamiflu, the anti-flu drug, and 2 different HIV drugs. And they say that within 48 hours, she turned out negative for the virus. Now, that could be something that could be reproduced. It could be a one-time thing. It might be a coincidence that she just happened to get better for one reason or another. But when I hear stuff like that, I think, is there some kind of genome there that includes maybe some HIV genes, or is there something there that includes maybe a weaponized flu virus? So, if those things can actually help, then is it possible that this whole virus was some kind of lab accident and somehow got out that way? Now, that's considered a conspiracy theory right now. I actually wound up putting up a video on coronavirus and took it down after a bunch of people. Thanks
for the comment, Dave. You're the only one that was not insane.
They said that it was all bioengineered and released on purpose and all of that stuff. I don't think that's the case, but I don't think that it's impossible that it could be some kind of lab accident. We had a lab accident in which Ebola was released. Ebola in monkeys was released in Virginia somewhere. There was an actual TV special on it, had like about 4 or 5 episodes.
Right.
It was a mini series, and it apparently actually happened about 20 years ago, and it got 1 or 2 people sick. But they managed to contain it because they were able to get all the monkeys that
right
and euthanize them. But these are things that can happen, and I wonder.
And we don't have our head in the sand. That was the thing. It was I put that video up, and it was just like a little theory, but it was the theory that Joe was going over in the video was strictly about like what the scientists are saying. He wasn't proposing, some, plan to wipe out half the species, or he wasn't pontificating about that. But the 5 comments that I got before the same comment, thank you, Dave, again, was
it was up for just
who's paying you? Whose pocket are you in? A simple Google search will tell you that it's bio warfare. And I'm like, why are you talking about this? It could be. I don't know. All I do know is what the scientists are saying. And as sane people who try to weigh the evidence and think about what it could be, it could be a lab accident. But in this particular video, he was strictly discussing the sane theory that maybe it did come from a bat to a snake to a human.
And the reason why
it could have happened.
And the reason why I say that is because coronaviruses that have occurred in this century, new strains of coronaviruses have all come from bats. The coronavirus SARS started off in bats, then ended up in another animal called the civet, which is looks a little bit like it's got a body of a cat and the face of a ferret. And that's sold in some of the live markets in China. In China, they like live food. You go to the market, and if you want fish, it's swimming in the aquarium, and you pick the fish and they kill it for you and they fillet it. And the thing is that it's not just fish. Okay, you can get bats there, you can get snakes there, you can get
Beaver.
Koalas,
koala
beavers,
bears,
rats,
beavers, porcupines,
dogs, cats,
wolf pups. They
everything.
even are a delicacy there, believe it or not. So, I mean, we may not be able to wrap our head around that, but just think about all the blood and the animal guts and all the other stuff, and how that kind of a place that does that all the time, every day,
right?
you know, just think about the possibility of pathogens, disease-causing organisms having such a fertile ground to start off in. And so it's very possible there's something, a virologist that was being interviewed said that there's something called viral trafficking. And what that is when you put a bunch of different animals together, then a virus from one animal may mutate to become effective in another animal. In other words, able to live or able to reproduce in another animal, and then becomes able to reproduce in humans. And they think that it's possible it could have gone from bat to snake to human in this case. And that's what I was trying to say with my video. But in the biowarfare guys got to me. Let's see what
we
they
have
say.
a couple people watching who believe it. I mean,
Who
listen,
believe it. and it's possible.
we're not denying that could be. China is known to be very secret. They steal things from us constantly. They steal from labs. They steal from our technology. You know, they want to be us, but be communists. That's what they want to be. So, you know, it's totally possible that that's what happened. Now, did they release it on purpose? I highly doubt they'd want to kill their own people. It would definitely have been a lab accident.
Right.
Are they probably mutating all kinds of horrible things they shouldn't be messing with? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't think this was let out on purpose, but we don't know, no matter who says it's proven or not. Nobody knows yet, unless the CDC knows, because they've got the gene. They might know by the sequencing and figuring out which parts seem spliced in, but they might never tell us. So they might know, they're not going to tell us. And so it cannot be proven unless you're a scientist looking at the gene sequence yourself and you know exactly what you're looking at. The rest of us can make theories. We can go Google searches. We can watch YouTube videos with people telling you all kinds of things that they say are true, but it's not true just because you read it on the internet or watch a YouTube video. That's it.
Including ours, by the way. So I just want to say that regardless of what started it, it's there. So you're going to have to deal with it, you know, and have a plan of action for the possibility that it could cross into this area. If it crosses into the U.S., then you have to have a plan of action. You shouldn't panic and run around with your, you know, waving your arms around, but you should have an idea of what kind of supplies you would want to have. You might consider, what part of the house would I keep somebody that maybe got sick with it, so I can keep the healthy people healthy and keep give the sick people a good chance for recovery. You want to have that kind of sick room would have to have good ventilation, good lighting. You would want to have minimalist furnishings. You know, you don't want to have a lot of carpeting. You don't want to have fabric on your fabric upholstered furniture there. You want to, you know, like a cot and a wood bench or something like that, something you can easily wash down with a 1 to 10 bleach solution so you can keep it disinfected. In those circumstances, by the way, air conditioning ducts are, although in general a good idea to keep good ventilation, you need to close those up because you don't want the virus that may be floating around in the air in the sick room to get into the rest of the house. And so you would have, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, that they put a sick person with a very contagious disease that's airborne and the air ducts are there, and sure enough, it goes to the rest of the house. But make sure the room is away from common areas. You want it away from kitchen areas. You want it away from traffic where the kids are running. These are things that you got to think about. And I don't want to go to your house tomorrow and see a sick room set up. That's ridiculous.
Right. Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, again, right now, the United States is fine.
But it doesn't hurt.
Good.
It doesn't hurt to have a plan of action. I assume most of the people that are watching the show are part of the preparedness community.
Right.
And sure enough, what do we do? We prepare for the worst, but we hope for the best, right?
That's right.
So that's the deal. So that's what
Right.
I want people to do, is just to start looking around, you know, and seeing how they would deal with a situation if one of their family members got sick
Right.
in an epidemic setting, and the modern medicine was basically overwhelmed.
Right.
Right.
Too many patients.
Now, let's say you're bugging out and you're on the road with your mutual assistance group. Everybody's got their tent, and you get people that are sick. Okay, what do you do then? And one of those tents has to become a hospital tent. So that's why I'm suggesting to you guys, if you have a mutual assistance group, they buy an extra tent, because what's going to happen if you don't, that people are going to get sick. You're going to realize the need for an isolation tent, a hospital tent for these people, and somebody's going to lose their home. Somebody's going to lose, and so that's going to just sow a lot of resentment at a time where you need to pull together. So have an extra tent that you're going to use as the hospital tent. That's really important if you're going to be bugging out.
Okay. There's a lot of videos, and some people are definitely putting out some really bad videos on this. They're talking about treating the possibility of treatment with the treatment they're using for AIDS. And that's because there's I think it's an amino blocker, I could be wrong, that actually, as the virus is you're probably going to correct me because I probably remember this wrong, because I studied it at like 3 o'clock this morning.
I've done a lot of that.
The AIDS treatment has a blocker in it. So as the virus is trying to jump its little chain to produce more, that AIDS virus has a blocker that eventually it hits that block and it kills the ability, not the virus, but it kills the ability for that virus to replicate.
Lock on to the receptor.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, there's the one thing I was talking about where those two doctors in Thailand say they cured this 7-year-old lady who had the coronavirus. They used 2 different HIV drugs and a higher doses than you would normally take for Tamiflu. And they say they got results by doing that. They just basically tried different mixtures of things. Some things that they tried and gave people allergic reactions. This one didn't for this particular patient, and actually got her to feeling better. So, you know, it means that's why I wonder about the possibility of some kind of laboratory involved with this, because why would HIV drugs affect this if there wasn't some genetic aspect of HIV in this virus? It's just a question I have in my mind. I don't have any hard scientific evidence to point at that, but if this coronavirus is suddenly cured by AIDS drugs or HIV drugs, then why is that happening? That would not happen normally. It's basically some kind of either weird mutation or somebody engineered it to be like that.
Well, that was one of the first videos I seen come out of China, is the fact that it had mutated twice from the original strain, which the very first video I seen, which was, I want to say December 27th. Somebody came out with a video on it, which was taken down within hours. It showed a place where they had some bats hanging, tethered to a stick. Below the bats were a bunch of snakes. On either side of the snakes was chickens and geese. And what the original theory is the bat guano, which does have uses, but contained the virus, which the snakes roll around it because they can't walk away from it.
Right.
Somebody picked up a snake and properly handled it, allowing the virus to transmute from bat to snake. And once it goes from the snake into a human, it mutates again, because there's a mutation that, at least as far as I understand it, is required for it to actually infect the snake. And then when the snake got eaten, the virus then mutated to its human host and started spreading from there. So
exactly. That's exactly what I was saying in that video that I had to take down because everybody was claiming it was biowarfare.
You know what? I was tired of the comments. I got 5 comments. Who's paying you to spread this BS? whose pocket are you in? This is definitely bio warfare. I mean, just like all this stuff. Like, let's stick with the content of the video. It said a theory. It didn't say the only theory in the entire world that's ever been proven right. It was just a discussion of an animal theory.
But what you're saying, David, is absolutely
Anyway, I took it off.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That it could easily happen. These viruses.
That's how that's how the original AIDS virus was transmitted, via monkey to human, and it might
right.
mutate
It was a simian.
Although I remember when the HIV came out, there were lots of people who were saying that was genetically made.
Yeah,
there were a lot of people in the early 80s saying that stuff.
Well, let me tell you why.
So those people have been saying that for a long time. Those theories.
I just want to say why. You know, people may say, what a virus mutating, then mutating again? Boy, that can't possibly, you know, that's a little weird. Why would it mutate twice? Well, they mutate. Exactly. They mutate all the time. As a matter of fact, coronaviruses have a tendency to mutate more than some other viruses because they're what we call RNA viruses. They don't have DNA like you and I have. They just have the RNA, which is a ribonucleic acid. And RNA viruses generally have more of a tendency to mutate than DNA viruses do. And what that does, it leaves the possibility open of genetic errors occurring. These genetic errors, when I say that, I mean that as a virus reproduces, it may not make a perfect photocopy of itself. And it may make something that's just a little bit different. That's the mutation. And the mutation, in most cases, actually doesn't do anything. It's on a little portion of the genetic material that doesn't change much about the virus. In some cases, it may even hinder the virus. But just as often, it makes the virus more effective. In other words, making it multiply faster or making it harder to kill. And so this idea of multiple mutations is what you really got to look at. That's definitely what is a big possibility with regards to this virus. I'm sure that this virus has mutated it's just going too fast for it to mutate, to not mutate.
Absolutely. And again, we're probably not going to know how many times it mutates. And, you know, someone just made a comment that gene technology has improved a lot since the 1980s. Yeah, it has. We actually have a CRISPR now where they can insert all kinds of gene changes.
That's true.
I mean,
called CRISPR.
Exactly. With a machine, they can do it. So it's insane what we can do. Hopefully, we're not doing a lot of those things that are possible. I mean, it's like cloning. You know, you hope they didn't, but apparently this Chinese guy said that he did.
And the bottom line is that no matter what, you have to deal with it. And the way to deal with it is probably going to be pretty much the same, whether it came naturally or whether it was bioengineered.
Right. What we actually have to deal with is reality now, no matter who made it or what made it, is that it's here. What's the infection rate truly, and what's the death rate truly? We want to know those things. And hopefully, again, we're in a very safe place, folks. We're all super lucky to be here in America and to not have planes traveling in and out of our country right now.
One thing,
go ahead.
Touch on real quick. Every year they have to redevelop the normal flu vaccine because the flu vaccine mutates every year for year after year after year. We know it. You know, why does this have to be so different?
It is. And what happens with the flu and how they make vaccines, for example, is they take some of the proteins from last year's flu virus and they make this year's flu vaccine for it. Now, if last year's flu virus and this year's flu virus are pretty close to each other, there's just a little, you know, there are a few of those. Remember, I said there are some of these genetic errors that may occur or mutations that may occur, but they don't do much to the virus. Then what happens is that you have basically some immunity from being exposed the previous year. And if you take a vaccine that is from a virus that was very similar the previous year, then it's more effective. There are years in which the virus changes so much from the previous year that the vaccines are only 19% effective. That happened 4 years ago. And 2 years ago, it was 29% effective. And there you only shoot for about 60 to 70% effective, by the way. With
in a way that might be able to be understood. Okay, the reason a virus cannot clone itself is because it's not DNA, it's RNA, correct?
Yes.
DNA, it would be able to replicate itself identically.
It would be better at it. It would be better at it. I can't say 100%, but it would be better at it than the RNA viruses would be.
Right.
And so that's the thing. So instead of this little tiny change, then, which is called, by the way, antigenic drift, because it's just drifting along, there is antigenic shift where it becomes a different virus almost altogether. And what happens in that circumstance, we haven't been exposed to that one. And so in those years, there are more flu cases and more people die during those years because the virus is different, so much different than the previous year that even the vaccine doesn't help you.
All right. So basically, the coronavirus is a flu virus then.
The coronavirus is, it causes a flu-like syndrome, but the flu virus is actually a different virus. It's an influenza type A and influenza type B. Coronavirus is different. If you look at it on an electron microscope, the coronavirus actually is so called because of its appearance on an electron microscope. It has these little projections on it that, if you are super imaginative, look a little bit like the points of a crown or maybe the corona of the sun. And so in that circumstance, then, and you're right, Sonny, not all the viruses are RNA. You're absolutely correct. So, so it's definitely a different virus than the flu virus, but it causes a lot of similar symptoms. The thing that's different, though, is that unlike the flu virus, 1 in 5 people wind up getting very severely ill with this theoretically, and that ordinarily you would wind up getting maybe fever, headaches, sore throat, cough, flu-like symptoms for about a week or so, and then you get better. But 1 in 5 people wind up having breathing difficulties. The cells of the lining of the lungs wind up getting inflamed, and they get short of breath. They have respiratory failure. They develop pneumonia, and eventually they get organ failure, and then that's how they would die. And so the difference is that 1 in 5, if 1 in 5 people wound up needing respiratory support because they got the flu in this country, we would be up in arms about it. But that's not the case. But that's not the case with the flu. But it is the case with the coronavirus, or this particular version of coronavirus.
All right, you said something very important. This particular version of it.
Yes.
How long has the coronavirus been around?
The coronavirus has been around for a long time, but remember, we weren't able to identify, physically look at viruses until the electron microscope came around. But there are a total now with this coronavirus of 7 strains, and of which 4 or 5 of them were discovered just in this century. And that includes SARS and MERS and a number of other ones.
Now, someone had mentioned earlier in the side chat, they brought up the Spanish flu, how it hit in the 1 year and the next year, and then it came back stronger a year later.
Yes.
We're asking if that's a possibility with this.
Yes, actually, there's a not an alert, but there is something in the World Health Organization plan of action sheet, which is called post-pandemic spread. And so after the pandemic has been identified, it will calm down and then come back in waves. And that happened in 1918 and 1919. That happened quite a bit with the Spanish flu. And of course, we haven't hit pandemic status yet with this, so we don't know what's going to happen with this particular one. But it's certainly a way that people can. And by the way, that also, now that I think of it, it could be related to additional mutations that have occurred. And so you could easily see how a mutation from the changes, just like the flu changes a little bit from year to year, how maybe the Spanish flu changed from 1918 to 1919 a little bit and caused indeed a new wave of people that got sick.
And just remember, folks, as we discussed on one of my other lives about zombies, space dust can also cause, because of the outbreak in Europe way back when. I don't remember the dates now. Too much other stuff floating around in the old noggin. But viruses don't come just from here on Earth. They can come from space. It's been proven. It's happened. So, I mean, the gist of all of this talk, if you're a prepper, is to get prepared, not out of panic, not out of fear, but out of intelligence. You know, like I've stated the last couple streams I've been on, don't run around the street screaming at the top of your lungs, it's here. Don't. Okay, just go out and buy the gear you need to protect yourself, your loved ones. Get the stuff for your house. If you think that, you know, you're in an area where it may blow out of proportion, have a roll of Visqueen so you can block areas off. Cover windows, cover walls, lay Visqueen on the floor so you've got an easier surface to clean or throw away. You know,
all right,
get this.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the whole point of all this. This isn't, and I'm going to say it again, and I got slammed the last time I said it. It's not fair porn. It's intelligence. The Army doesn't go looking at another country and to go around screaming, oh my gosh, they got guns. They go, no, they've got 5,000 guns there. They got 2,000 guns. Okay, now we know what we're going to do. Okay, this is the same principle.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Think, and there's simple preventative steps that can increase your chances of not getting this thing. You know, even if it comes into your area. Okay, you walk. I mean, what can be more simple than washing your hands? Okay. Now the thing is that we don't wash our hands as often as we should. I mean, the question is, when shouldn't you be washing your hands? I got a list here. After coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick, before, during, and after you prepare food, before you eat, after you use the toilet, please. When hands are visibly dirty, soap and water, and after handling animals or animal waste. Simple things like this.
And I will say, after grocery shopping, because when you go grocery shopping, or even we're all going to Home Depot trying to find stuff at Home Depot for prepping. You imagine how many things you're touching in the grocery store, guys. I mean, you walk in, literally, I've probably touched 300 things, and it might be the same item, but I'm looking for expiration dates. I'm reading the labels. You know, how many carbs, how much fat, blah, 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 calories. What's the expiration date of this? If I reach really far behind in the grocery store shelf, will I find something with a longer expiration date? Because that's what we're all about, is expiration dates and prepping. So I want things with the longest expiration date. So I've touched hundreds of things by the time I get to the checkout. And where did they put the hand sanitizer wipes? When you're coming in, not when you're going out. So I told the manager at the grocery store we go to, I said, listen, you need to put some of those Sandy wipes here at the counter. I've just touched hundreds of things. And before me, I don't know how many of your customers have touched that. So, you know, my hands are filthy right here at the checkout, not so much when I'm coming in. She's like, oh, we don't have enough. We can't put them there, blah, blah, blah. So think about after you've touched a bunch of things too in the grocery store or Home Depot or wherever it is you go shopping or just out of the house.
No, and think about how often you touch your face. You know, I was just, while you were saying that, I just realized that I went like this. I'm holding my, I'm going like this with my goatee. I'm going like, I did like that with my nose. So don't touch your face with your hands, whatever you do.
So that was number one.
That's so important.
Also, wait, I just want to mention too, if you have a choice between washing your hands and pick the hand sanitizer up, And hand sanitizer. Wash your hands.
with soap and water.
Wash your hands. Wash your at least 20 seconds. Wash between your fingers. Scrub real well. Washing is not so much about the soap and the water. It's about the action. And we learned this in nursing and medical school, is that, you know, a lot of times when we were scrubbing, we would have a brush. It's the action of moving the bacteria off of your fingers. So get between your fingers too. Don't just do this, you know, and kind of rub the top and the bottom of your hands. Get between your fingers. It's the action and the movement, you know, pretty rough movement to actually get the bacteria off your hands. Water, doesn't matter what temperature. I know we've mentioned this in previous podcasts that we've done, but we haven't talked about it here. It doesn't matter if it's cold, warm, or hot. None of those temperatures are going to kill any bacteria or any viruses on your hands whatsoever. You have got to action wash them off, okay? Unless you're going to stick your hand in boiling water, please don't do that. You'll get burns. It's very painful. It doesn't matter the water temperature. So don't wait till the water gets hot thinking you're going to kill something extra on your hands. Okay, you're not. So cold tap water, any kind of soap, I don't care what it is. It's the action of your hands and the length of time and where you're touching. All surfaces of all your fingers.
And you've mentioned, did you
And a
mention
scrub
20
brush,
seconds? 20 seconds?
I did 20 seconds of
Okay.
word. Also, one more thing. Under your nails. Now, I've trimmed my nails, but we use nail brushes. We have nail brushes sitting on our soap. We use nail brushes. I have it in the kitchen. I have it in the bathroom. Every time we wash our hands, we use nail brushes. So don't forget underneath your nails.
Now, the thing with, if your hands are visibly dirty, soap and water is what you need to use. You should not use hand sanitizer. In other situations, it's not quite as clear. Soap and water is still superior to hand sanitizer, but a lot of people say that it is because when people use hand sanitizer, they're using that much. In reality, you got to use that much.
Oi.
You have to get everything wet, in between your fingers, all over, down your wrists. So people just don't use enough hand sanitizer. So, and if you did use more hand sanitizer, it would more closely approximate using soap and water.
Okay, I want to point out something that was not mentioned on the side chat here. Lori said that she wears gloves when she goes out. And everyone goes, it look weird because usually most of the nitrile gloves are blue. But,
Yeah, right.
Dave, if you throw this up,
Just
I have found on Amazon here, and there's other places too you can find it. Yeah. But they have the black ones,
Yes, that's what we have too.
and that way they look like you're wearing your black winter gloves, and it doesn't look quite so odd to everybody. The black ones, yeah. And so they have them here on Amazon. They got black ones. $24 for, I'm not sure how many cases this is, but yeah.
Now, I
So,
want to show you this. I'm glad you mentioned gloves, Gil. You see this glove here. You see that this glove actually has a pretty long wrist cuff. Okay, and basically the reason why that is meant to go over. It's called an extended cuff glove, and so if you can find those are good. And what it happens is if you have a coverall on, it can cover the wrist. It can cover the wrist pretty well. And the way that you can tell when you have covers on that you have a good fit is by doing this. You raise your hand as high as you can and make sure that there's still total coverage of the end of the sleeve of the coverall. If there's space between between the end of your glove and the end of the sleeve of the coverall, then you're going to contaminate yourself. So the longer you can find in terms of the cuff, an extended cuff glove is actually superior to a standard nitrile glove. These are nitrile also, by the way.
I think Ryan has these same gloves. Ryan, you need to snatch a box for your house. He's got them in the body shop. He wears them.
Oh, there you go. Good. Cool.
All right, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. I see a lot of people saying they'd like to be able to chit chat on the side and in other places. I'm opening up my Discord channel. There is a link. It's a permanent link for the next 100 people. And you can go there. That's my Discord channel. I've got a couple rooms set up. You can also use voice chats on the side there. So just go join it. It's a good place. You can do video chatting there as well. All kinds of options available. The more people we get to join, the more stuff I can add to it. So that's my shameless plug for the minute.
All right.
Yeah, it's not that hard to get into either. And you get email notifications too, or you get text messages or whatever when stuff's going on.
Yeah, 24 hours a day. You
Some
don't
other
have to go anytime.
protections. So we just really talked about hand washing, and you want to do eye protection, obviously.
We talked about that.
Yep, and masks.
We talked about that.
Yep. So you want to cover everything in your face. Mucous membranes are a big source
Right.
of infection.
Right. We did all that.
Distancing, social distancing.
Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? You know how us preppers like to be sort of isolated, that we're all hermits and crazy and all that stuff. Well,
that's going to work
interestingly
out
enough,
really well for us.
that actually is going to be an adaptive gene for if this thing actually becomes something. Even the government itself tells you that if an outbreak occurs in your area, that you should socially distance yourself from others. In other words, stay away from crowded places. Don't go to work if you can help it, especially if there are sick people at work. Don't send your kids to school, especially if there are sick kids at school. And essentially, you just have to limit your time and places that attract crowds. So this is actually part of the deal, the official recommendations of the U.S. government for pandemic situations.
On that note, my daughter had a APA meeting with the school yesterday, district care. We're about 15 miles away from Idaho Falls. If this virus shows up in the region here, the plan is to shut down all school districts for 2 weeks in the region, in southeast Idaho.
Good.
Good
So
plan.
they got that plan already laid out.
Good. Smart people.
Now, one little quick thing, Lori, and I forget who else it was up there in Canada, can't find any masks at all. Like I was showing earlier on Amazon, if you go for the construction masks, the permanent rubber masks with the disposable filters on it, I just bought a packet of the 10 pairs of filters at $1 per pair that go on the mask things I was showing. The mask costs $16 or $18 for the rubber mask, and then you get the case for it, which costs about $5 that the little disposables go in. But then at $1 each for disposables, where right now the N95s for 3 of them at Home Depot is $7 or higher now, and a couple usage, these will pay for themselves.
I agree. Well, I mean,
I don't know. I worry.
what?
Well, I just worry. I mean, what we're told, of course, in nursing and medical school is that we have to get not only the NIOSH,
NIOSH,
Sure.
NIOSH,
Sure.
but we also have to get them FDA approved as surgical masks for the filtration, so that they have to say respirator and surgical mask on them. And if you go on the FDA website, you can actually get a list of approved masks so that you know for sure, because there are numbers, and there's also
The word respirator.
back it up just a little bit. Yeah. So definitely, whatever mask you're getting, look up the model number. Look up the type it is. Check into it. Just make sure that what you're using will filter out what you're looking to filter out. And of course, anything is better than nothing. When I was in a movie theater a couple of weeks ago, there was a kid coughing, and we had literally just heard, maybe it was 3 weeks ago, literally just heard that there was something out there about coronavirus. And so what I did was I put my back to him, and I held my shirt up the whole time, and I sat like this. And you know what? My physical barrier and my covering on my face was better than nothing. And the theater was full, unfortunately. It was Star Wars. So I didn't have any other seat to go into. If I really thought there was something going on in this country, we would have just left. We would never have been in a movie theater. So something is better than nothing. I mean, they're even saying like the surgical masks in China, because they get so hot that they're really not working. They're not filtering out things. Those are things for people who are sneezing or coughing to catch those droplets inside the mask. They're not for filtering in what you're breathing. So I just want everyone to be super careful about what they're buying and just, do a couple minutes of research. It doesn't take long.
I just want to say, a writer does ask, what about swimmer's goggles? As long as you get home before you take a bath before taking them off. What you need to have is indirect venting. So your swimmer's goggles probably don't have this, but you see here, this is what's called an indirect vent for these goggles. And what this does is it prevents stuff from going in, but allowing you still to
Not fog up.
Right, exactly, not fog up.
You know what? Actually, I don't think I have a problem with swimming goggles, only because it's a seal, and as long as I have another, nose and mouth covering, I'll take the swimming goggles. I think we have some in the garage.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring them in.
if that's what you got.
No, listen, seriously, that they've got a good
Yeah.
seal. If they can hold out water and they've got that kind of seal, you're probably going to be uncomfortable after a while. But if you got to go out, you know what?
Yeah.
Thinking about it,
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
and then just wear oversized dark sunglasses over it so they can't see them.
Yeah.
Now, when I was talking about those masks and stuff, that not only are they these are all NIOSH rated masks,
Awesome! Yay!
and they're EPA rated for hazardous materials,
Nice.
well beyond viruses.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like here's one for
Love
$16. All right, the $16 one. Then you buy the the little case things on them, which are right here. These for them, and these are $10 for a pair. And then you buy the a $10 worth of things, and right, so you're up at $36. But that's going to you figure 4 or 5 pairs of the others, and you're of these, which are now getting up to like $9, and they are NIOSH and N95s. But on your second go around, you're just paying $10 for another 10 uses for the next pack, and after the third go around, it's actually cheaper than buying 30 of these.
You're fine, Kaylin. And I think I finally figured out how I can get a hold of my mouse's awesome split pea soup. I'll barter for some split pea soup.
Here you go.
There you go.
If you haven't checked out Mouse Bros, go check her out. She is a canny wizard.
Yeah, and if you're really worried about your eyes and stuff, it does get more expensive when you go up this. And I got 3 pairs of these from when I worked hazmat, and that's the scroll up, the full face.
Oh yeah.
And you're right, Lori. Some of those items they cannot ship to Canada because they are a regulated item to a degree, and customs won't let it ship.
Oh, that's sad.
Wow.
So
But
she's not going to be able to get in Canada unless they're imported through a direct reseller.
There's
there's companies out there.
there's Amazon.ca. So go to the Amazon.ca, you guys, for your Canadian supplies.
Yeah, and there's also industrial supply companies like Granger, which and other ones like that are up in Canada already, that you can get these at. Yeah, you're gonna spend about another 8% more on off one of these masks. But like I said, my masks, I've taken good care of them, and they have lasted me 20 years.
Awesome.
So yeah, I got 3 of these, and I got 4 of the other ones, and one is brand new that I've never even used, that I got when I was working hazmat 20 years ago.
Awesome. Wow. Well,
don't play a kid on your Christmas morning opening it up and checking
yeah.
it out.
Or
Hey,
go,
hey,
or
don't.
go outside their window when they're sleeping and knock on it.
Well, hey, believe it or not, my son asked for Christmas 2018. Asked for one of these because he's working in a restoration company where they go in and they're from water damage and stuff because they have mold in there.
Yes.
So he
Oh,
got these, and so he's all set with his stuff already, and he has cases of the filters.
Nice.
No,
By the way, I
too
just
bad.
want to say, guys, you know what is really bad for getting a nice, proper fit to your mask? Facial hair.
Yeah. Right here. That's it.
So if something really happens, we're all going to have to shave our beards and goatees. And
I'll have to buy some disposable razors for you to keep you shaved because the batteries will die.
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, because of the Sikhs, they have developed masks that provide low connection for the Sikhs because they can't shave.
right.
Religious. And so the U.S. military has them. Other countries have them as well.
Interesting.
But
Yep.
it's going to be a little bit more.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why if
Yep.
you look at the Israeli gas masks, you notice the Israeli gas masks actually come almost all the way down to the bottom of your throat. The bottom seal is way down here.
Down here, yeah.
Yeah,
Then
'cause
you're
there's a lot of
good. Yeah.
Israelis that
Well,
can't
that's
shave.
what they look like. I've never actually put one of those on, but it looks like it comes pretty low. So I think you would be
Yeah.
okay for at least a goatee. You shave your neck here.
Yeah.
Good stuff to know. This is like a potluck dinner. See, we all contribute,
That's right.
you
Yep.
know, dessert and main meal and dessert, and then
Yep.
or appetizers, and then we've got a complete meal here. Look at this.
Yeah.
I love it.
I see somebody asking about disinfecting masks. Honestly, you know, the standard advice that every mask company gives is that you should, unless they are reusable masks, that you should dispose of them. I can't. Some people say putting some thieves' oil in the mask may help.
I've seen
But
all kinds of theories about spraying.
but there's no
things
hard scientific data one way or another about any of these. And they just say to dispose of the masks. You have to once you get low on masks, you have to decide what you're going to do.
And one of the ones I just picked up just for laughs and giggles to check it out. I picked up one of these
Oh, you
That's a
did
reason-
not? Oh,
that's
that's,
a
so
reusable
funny.
one.
with the
Filter.
P95 filter, actually P99 filter
Uh-huh.
to go inside of it. And
Right.
I haven't done anything. I just opened it up just now, so it's got the pockets just goes across. So it then goes around the ears. If I can get it on here, get my glasses out of the way.
He looks in like Antifa.
Okay, tighten it up and now blow out and see if it.
You have a good.
Do you have a good fit? Hey,
Kitty!
pussycat.
Yeah,
Okay.
it feels fine. I just personally, I would just use this for allergies. I still don't because there's no metal top on either side here to actually get it to mold. There's
There's no metal. You're saying
no metal.
there's no metal.
So
Actually, wait. Yeah, there is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I just had to get it here. I had to find it.
Okay. So how does it feel like when you touch the sides here at the cheek? Does it feel when you took your fingers? Does it feel tight there?
Not yet, but I tightened this up a little bit more.
That would be my worry is right here.
right. Well, don't
tighten this
forget.
up.
Just putting your hands there. Just breathe out and see if around the edges of the mask you feel a lot of air coming out. If you do, that's not
Right. So put
Yeah.
enough.
put your hands here and breathe out and see if that's where the air is going.
There's right now because this is still not molding right.
All right. Well, once
it's short. It's
Uh-huh.
short. It ends right here. It doesn't come out far enough, really, to mold in. So I do this. My glasses fog up.
that means
Gotcha.
that
Yeah.
Well, don't
Yeah.
compress this. Just put your hands kind of by your ears and feel if air is coming out there.
There's a little bit, nothing coming out here.
Okay, that's
just
good.
just a little bit right here, and that's because of the way it's pulling and stuff. But I can see the
Filters.
exhaust,
Yeah, I saw that.
the exhaust port.
I saw that. Yeah, that's good.
So
That's
that
really
is moving
good.
a little bit, but it's better than poking an eye with a sharp stick.
Listen. Again, you know what? With every step we get better. You know what I'm seeing is really funny. I've never seen this before. Even with Ebola, is that I see these Asian pictures of these. It looks like healthcare workers, in the biohazard suit, all geared up. But what they've got is N95s, and I see them with 2 or 3 on top and underneath surgical masks. So they're like double, triple layering N95s with surgical masks. I mean, these people are freaking out.
I just found inside the package, it has a piece of foam rubber here. With adhesive on one side. So that would go against the mask, and that would finish sealing up
there you go.
around the nose.
I knew that mask had to have something.
Yeah. So
that would be a proper
with a filter. That's pretty good.
And I got this off of Amazon, and the next day they were gone.
Sadly.
On the off chance that it doesn't come with foam, could you use something like a thick layer of Vaseline right through here in an area where the mask may not fit?
Actually, what I think would work better, seeing this, I would say at Home Depot, they have that foam insulation stuff to put around door. They have the thin stuff, which is about as thick as this is.
Yes, they do have 1/4 inch.
Yeah. And so you could just use that, I would think. And if you're worried about Vaseline, but Vaseline would trap viruses, I would think, wouldn't they, Doctor?
Vaseline would.
Oh yeah, if you think about it, if viruses got there,
it wouldn't help you with the seal. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend something.
Grab the goggles.
That's gluey. Than
goggles.
Yes.
You're not going to wear those without this.
And those might push down on it to get a better fit too.
Yeah, if you think about it, if that went right underneath there, if it went right up underneath there, it would almost be like wearing a full thing, because this would be double layered. So this would help your black mask press it up against your face, especially if you tighten these up. So if we have to wear masks, the main thing to remember is that we have got to protect our eyes. Yep. So there's no sense in just wearing these or the mask or just wearing this. I mean, this is really the combination that has to be done, or you're not protecting one place. I mean, I've seen this guy who talked about how incredibly absorbent the eye is for sucking in those viruses. I think if they really did studies, which I'm not sure that they can do unless they exposed an eye and then exposed a nasal area or a mouth, that is possible that most of the viruses we get, and this is just Amy's theory, may come from exposure to our eyes and not necessarily our nose and mouth. Maybe this is what's more vulnerable in the world to infections. Maybe this is what we really have to worry about more than our nose. If you think about it, our mouth has enzymes, our nose has hair and all kinds of filtering material up there. I'm not going to show you my nose hairs. You can show them your nose hairs.
Show you mine. They're horrible.
But your eye has no protection whatsoever. And
actually, my mustaches are my nose hairs.
Yeah. But your eyes just kind of suck in whatever floats on it and goes in here and then goes into your nasal area and bam, you're infected. So this might be what we need to worry about more than this. I don't know. Amy's theory. Someone needs to do a study.
Both. Joe's theory. Worry about both.
Worry about both.
There you go. That's good.
There you go.
I don't have a problem with
it on the top and bottom so it doesn't fall.
Got to be tight though, so that
it's tight.
Okay, good.
Make it even tighter. It just hurts.
Okay.
Somebody asked about a welder's mask. A welder's mask would offer about as much protection as that other face shield.
Yep. You
still need the mask underneath it.
Right.
Yeah, because it's open at the bottom, and then you have things that might get up inside. But yeah, welder's mask is great for a face shield for sure.
But you scare the heck out of everybody with that dark thing.
Only if you carry an axe with you.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here on the side chat.
So where is this? Where's
So-
the side chat? Where I can't see the side chat.
Well, you have on the side chat, if you have a second screen open with like regular the YouTube on it, you can see and you can chat on it. But Tibor just asked here, proposed something. He said Neosporin instead of Vaseline for around the eyes. Would Neosporin kill this virus?
No, because Neosporin is an antibiotic, and antibiotics don't kill viruses.
Right, kills bacteria.
Right. And bacteria are bigger than viruses.
Yes,
Much
at least
bigger.
at least 10 times,
Yeah.
maybe 100 times in
Much
some
bigger.
cases.
Yeah.
And this, as a matter of fact, one interesting thing that's
where's
going to
your-
freak everybody out is that the coronavirus is actually, remember I showed you this earlier.
Hold on, let me make you full screen.
Wait, go back a little bit. Tiny bit. Hold it
sh-
still. Hold it still.
Okay, I showed you
I'll
that.
be Vanna White if you.
I didn't see a thing.
I showed you this. This is the diameter of a human hair when it's cut in cross section. That dot that you see there is a micron. So compared to the diameter of a human hair, you see how small a micron is. This mask is able to handle to actually block particulates that are 0.3 microns in size.
Sorry.
The thing is, the coronavirus is 0.13 microns in size. So it's actually smaller than what this can theoretically protect you from. But interestingly enough, I know that this is still protective. And how do I know that? Because the related virus SARS, which is, and MERS, the other related virus, which are both around the same size as this coronavirus, when medical workers wore N95s around people that were infected with SARS or MERS, they received a lot more protection. They got infected a lot less, the medical workers did, than if they used any other kind of mask short of an N100. So it is indeed protective and decreased the infection rate on with health workers for coronaviruses that were exactly the same size as this coronavirus. So it's okay to use them, even though the coronavirus is a little smaller than the theoretical limit of these N95s.
It's funny. Kaylin made a face shield out of the soda bottle.
Yes.
We were Kaylin is a new person who's here.
Oh,
No, Karen. I think Karen was the other one who
Oh,
was
okay.
on when we first got here at 9 o'clock.
Great minds
So
think
they
alike.
have the same idea.
Great minds think
Kaylin, we
alike.
discussed this. You had a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a fantastic idea. Open it up, split it up, put a little foam on the top, anything to secure it, a rubber band, and gosh, even duct tape.
But remember,
who cares,
it
as long as it's,
doesn't replace a mask, though. It
Does
protects
not-
your eyes, but doesn't replace
we need
a mask.
eye and nose and mouth.
Right.
Both
There
sides.
is a photo. I was trying to find it here. I got on one of my things I downloaded from all the news articles stuff. But in China, a lady took one of those 5-gallon water bottles for the coolers,
Right.
Yeah.
cut the bottom off,
Yes.
and cut shoulder things for her kids to wear
I saw
over.
That was so
Okay.
cool. You know what? I love people thinking outside the box. We've all been doing this for years. What can I do with duct tape? What can I do with super glue? I mean, my father's been doing that since he was in the Air Force in the 60s. And, it's just so much fun. But to see these videos of these unique, awesome ideas, we have 5-gallon water containers. And when I saw that, I thought, aha. Of course, I'm going to look like a complete nut going to Publix grocery shopping with a 5-gallon container on my head. But good
You'll
for
look like a
her.
robot from
Yeah.
Outside the box.
I think
love it.
I think that's really such a good point, because let's think about it. You're a member of the preparedness community out there. You therefore probably think there's a good chance, or there is a chance, not a good chance, but a chance that there may be some event that may occur that may take you away from, let's say, medical care, or may knock you off the grid for a significant amount of time. Regardless of the amount of ibuprofen that you've stored, or bandages that you have, or other things, or food that you have, eventually all of that's going to run out, and you're going to have to learn to either grow food yourself, That's why I always recommend people start a garden.
Mhm.
And look around and see what around you might have medicinal value that grows in your own backyard. So, maybe put some medicinal herbs in your backyard. That's the thing. And you eventually, all of us will be using the 5 liter or 5.
I think we should
doing
do
all
it
that
tomorrow.
doing all that kind of stuff. Will be improvising because that's basically what's going to be left.
Ryder Dust has an idea. I think we should have a contest to see who can look the most ridiculous but still stay safe.
I look pretty ridiculous just like this. Yeah.
I'm going to make a duct tape mask. Well, I wouldn't be able to see through it. I'm going to have to get something clear. Maybe, I don't know, some sort of plastic.
I think I can win with this one. I'll wear a silver suit, put that plastic jug on it, paint it mostly silver, and so it looks like the robot off of
Forbidden Planet. Yeah.
Yes.
No. The animated one.
Animated.
Oh shit. Anyway, his favorite cat.
Futurama.
Futurama. Where he says, bite my silver.
But wait, we got it. But then you have to add tin foil.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no outfit is complete without tin foil.
True
with
that.
antennas.
Right.
All right, but what Texan said there about the Lysol and collated silver.
Yes, well, we know it kills viruses and bacteria because it says right here on the label.
99.9% of viruses and bacteria.
There we go. Says it right there. So Lysol's good for surfaces.
Because they've already proven that it can live on a surface up to 5 days. They did a test in Australia, I think it was.
That is so scary.
Right.
That means when you get on an airplane, you need to bring Lysol with you. Okay.
So it's a very hardy virus. Yeah, and you absolutely.
I'm just gonna spray the whole damn plane as I'm walking in. sorry, row 1, row 2, row 3. Oh, sorry. Okay, just moving on. Just ignore me. Yeah, that's really scary. Yeah, 5 days. And then again, this is preliminary. What if we find out on certain surfaces, like say plastic with an air temperature of 60 degrees versus 70 degrees, now it lasts 14 days. There's so many unknowns.
So far, the only test I found is that they did it on stainless steel.
Yeah.
Which, most hospital equipment is stainless or surgical.
Right.
And they did a test and they showed it lived at 5 days at 4 degrees Celsius or lower.
Right.
The temperature started going up. Its ability to stay alive decreased rapidly.
Right. Which is an interesting thing because I think most people think, well, they keep hospitals cold, so cold must kill viruses, which is completely the opposite. The hotter and more humid it is, the less viruses are able to survive in the air and survive on surfaces. So when we have our winter time, that's when viruses really go crazy. That's why flu season is in the winter, is because the colder and drier it is, the more viruses are happy. Now, of course, there's a certain temperature where they're not. I mean, it's, I don't think they live in minus 50 degrees, although I'm sure there are some viruses that have adapted because they've been here for millions and millions of years versus humans. But, they do like colder environments. So that's kind of a freaky thing. I mean, maybe when it warms up with the spring and summer, we won't have to worry about this so much. I hope that would be wonderful. But right now we're smack dab in the middle of, cold season here. Winter.
Yeah. One of the things I dug up doing all this silly research, as some people are calling it, just to make sure I've got facts that are prevalent.
Right.
It was I want to say 15, 20 years ago. There was a PBS show talking about ice cores coming out of Antarctica and Arctica, and one of the things they have to do is because they have to put those in a clean room of sorts, both biologically and chemically clean room, so nothing from the outside world gets in there. They've actually exposed viruses that have grown inside those rooms from those ice cores. So
I believe it.
Viruses that we as public don't know about, that our government already knows about, that are probably just as bad, if not worse, than what we're dealing with right now.
Right,
Because
that humans have never been exposed to. That's the thing. There's since humans have been around, we've been exposed to who knows how many viruses and bacteria, and a lot of the things we've developed, thankfully, immunity that we've passed on from mother to child. But when you have something that either has never been exposed to humans from the past or the future, something new, that's when we have the problem. And so these things, like you're saying, from the ice are things that have never seen humans. And maybe they just happen to work really well in our bodies because of the way they were. And we bring them back, and it's a problem. And we really have so many exposures. I'm actually surprised humans are still existing with everything that we go through every day.
One research paper I read on dealing with the Spanish flu was that at the time it first showed up, a couple weeks before it first showed up, I think it was actually about 3 weeks, the Earth went through the tail of a comet.
Oh.
And the Spanish flu in 3 weeks appeared worldwide in locations where they were isolated, such as the Eskimos up in Alaska.
No kidding.
Wow.
And there is the scientific study is and it was naming several other times where a outbreak occurred when the Earth passed through either a meteor shower or the tail of a comet several weeks later. And the scientists are hypothesizing that those viruses, just like amino acids and stuff, come from outer space.
Maybe that's why they considered a comet to be a bad omen in a lot of
Back
cases.
then, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Jay, as far as the rumor mills that you're hearing, I've seen a couple videos of that one new hospital that's already up and running. I've seen no bars on the windows. Does that
I
mean
haven't seen that. I've heard that rumor over and over,
I
Dave.
have not seen it.
I personally have not seen those pictures. Maybe people have closer pictures of that. I've only seen them being built. I haven't seen them finalized. I'm not sure
We
that.
had one this morning on
So you've seen the hospitals and you don't see bars on them.
right, South China News. It's not run by the CCP. It's
Okay.
not run by China's main.
Oh yeah,
government.
South China News. Yes, I've seen them.
It's not a Hong Kong, which, as we already know, doesn't care for China proper.
Right.
But the video that they've showed, they showed it complete because they were doing an expose on the inside of it, and I didn't see any on Windows. Does that mean there isn't any? No, but from what I've seen, I have not seen any yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be a very strange thing to do to a hospital. I can't imagine why they would do that. I mean, that's something you do for a jail. Why would you do that? I mean, I don't know. But I hear the rumors also, and it would be something really strange that they would.
Here's the point for everybody to understand, though. Okay, whether you're Christian or not, whether you're Muslim or not, there are, and it's not rumors, it's been publicly proven. There's video of it. It's not fake video, it's real video. The last video I seen, they had 500 Muslims kneeling facing west, like they're supposed to, or whichever direction it is. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Kaylin would know. Doing their prayer, and they're in a prison compound. They have executed more Christians in the last 5 years than I care to discuss. So is this a country that does draconian measures and trying to hide it? Yes. So
Absolutely.
Could the rumors of the numbers being exponentially higher than what they're telling us? Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're totally agree with you.
Certainly.
Those people want to hide. They want to put on it's like a mask from a carnival. They want to hold up the happy face no matter what hideous thing is going on behind it. I completely agree with that. You cannot trust what they say.
Even if that wasn't happening, just think about it. If you were sick with the flu, with the coronavirus, and you weren't terribly sick, would you go to an overcrowded hospital that was put up 7 days before that is probably already stretched to the limit? That would you access a medical infrastructure that is pretty much falling apart I mean, if you are not terribly sick, you probably would want to just stay at home and see if you're one of the 80% that get over this thing after a week or so.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then you dodged a bullet. No, I think the only people that are going to these hospitals are probably the people that need respiratory support.
Like literally,
So-
they can't breathe.
So
They're
that
like,
means
I
there's-
can't breathe. You need to take me to the
So
hospital.
easily there are
I think that's the last place people want to go.
There are-
I agree.
tens of thousands of these people that are hiding out in their homes and hoping to get better. And only when a member of their family gets sick to the point that they have to get to the hospital, that's when they wind up.
And here's another little tidbit of information. You can't get supportive care in China unless you have a doctor write you a piece of paper that's 8 by 11 stating on it that you have the virus. Then only then can you go to a hospital and get care.
So you don't get counted until then.
Right. You can't get nothing until if you go in there with just a common cold, they're going to send you home and that's it.
Right.
If you go in there with a fever, they'll run a test and send you home. And then they'll mail you a piece of paper telling you whether or not you can actually go back to the hospital to get supportive care. Two real big issues with that.
Yep.
One is the number of people standing in line trying to get that. There's hundreds of thousands. We've seen the videos of it. And
Can you imagine the tests piled up in some laboratory to the ceiling that they can't even get to do the test?
Right. Another thing is they opened up their stadium. I think I could be wrong. I may have misread it because it was going by so fast. But I think it said it's 500 more beds inside this stadium, and it's an open air stadium. There's no roof over top of any of the little cubicles they've set up. A couple of areas are just mass beds laying out with no dividing borders. The first hospital they opened up, which is 1,100 beds, is already full. The stadium is full. There's another new hospital that's supposed to be open on this coming Monday.
Right.
It will be booked by Friday. Guarantee it.
I believe it.
A lot
Absolutely.
more people suffering than what they're telling us.
Yeah. Oh, tons
The
more.
other thing is, it's information you need to understand that this could get out of control. There is a possibility of it getting out of control. It's already starting to look that way from the other areas. And I showed a map earlier that showed the blue areas that nobody else is talking about. Those areas have no medical standard anywhere close to Japan, let alone ours. If somebody there gets infected, before they can even get to a hospital, they're going to infect 5, 6, 7, 8 other people because they live in
On the way.
communities, and some of them live multiple families per hut.
Right.
Their toilet is non-existent. They go behind a bush over yonder and do what they got to do.
Right.
So the sanitation is non-existent. That is a virus, heaven, so to speak, not to use that word that way, but that's where viruses love to be because there's nothing to stop them.
Right.
So in those countries, it can go rampant fast. We may nip it in the bud here in the US, but if they can't stop it down there, there's nothing saying it won't come back up here. So this is the reason that you guys, we try to get the information out so you're prepared mentally and physically on that very bad chance, and it's still small, that something could pop off. Just be prepared.
Okay. Hey, guys, Tibor said that Canadian Prepper had a video on his site of the hospital. I'm not sure if this is the hospital actually, but I got it up here. And as I move it forward here, it's showing both inside and outside. Let me just run it here.
Okay, that's
Showing-
last
showing-
last time I seen it, there wasn't.
Yeah. And so this is inside.
All right.
And
I'm gonna personally email him and ask him what he was finding this.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing that stands open to me though. You look at the corners here of this
Shipping containers.
shipping container.
Yeah, that's a shipping container for sure.
And construction companies always put bars on their ship. And you look at the lock here on this one. This is a construction shipping container. This part is not part of the hospital. This one here.
Right.
So, but this other part here, showing. Now, wait till you see this other part here. All these bars on these windows here. I've been looking to see if there's discrepancies as far as light shadows and stuff like that. But like this window here is open, These are closed. So it's kind of hard to tell what they're doing.
So let's
It
step
could
back.
be, it could just be, who knows?
So I don't pay attention much to shipping containers and their construction and use in housing or whatever. So you're saying when they turn a shipping container into a compartment for people to be in, that they always put bars on them?
No,
So
what I'm saying is construction companies, to store their equipment on a job site, do this to the cargo containers.
Okay, so if this is sitting on a construction site, and in that construction site is the construction manager or supervisor, and he's got all the files for the entire site, and he's got all the invoices and maybe some checks and money, that they always have bars on
like that. Yeah.
Okay, so that this is a particular purpose for construction sites, so that nobody breaks in and steals money or checkbooks or invoices or whatever. Okay. So that makes sense that these people took something that was made for another purpose and stuck them all together. And the bars are not necessarily to contain people, but they just happen to be there and they didn't want to take the time to cut them off.
Well, but that's the thing, is this is being manufactured by a shipping container company. These things
are already pre-built, because if you look at the amount of construction China does, they have hundreds of thousands of construction things going on year round.
Oh yeah, they're always building constantly.
Yeah.
So the company that manufactured these here is a shipping container company that builds these specifically as office units. They're insulated. They have AC units, most of them, which those will be taken out in order to stack them all next to each other. They're designed to be butted up sideways or end to end.
Right.
And walls can be removed so you can make them longer.
Right.
Okay. They're designed modular. That's how they're able to build a hospital for 1,100 beds, as well as 1,000 staff this quickly.
Which is what I'm thinking. I mean, I see, if you go to, my dad lives in McDonough, Georgia. If you go up there, there are hundreds of warehouses that are literally slapped up in about 5 seconds, which is an exaggeration, but I'll say 5 days. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of square feet with these pre-made concrete fab walls. That's what I was thinking they were going to use with these concrete fab walls. I didn't realize they were going to use these storage containers. That's clever. Of course, we've seen plenty of videos with bunkers that have used these storage, these warehouse units. I mean, awesome thing. That was very clever of them. And like you said, they're doing tons of construction there. They probably have, who knows, 100,000 of those. They could build hospitals to the sky with those units. So no wonder they can build these hospitals so quick. I was wondering how they were going to wire all of this and put plumbing. Those are my two things: water and electricity in a week.
That's already set up. Each one has
they're pre-made. Okay, well that makes sense.
Yep. All they got to do is
connect them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, those types of things are pre-done. Now, the reason why these bars are probably on there, my supposition, guys, I'm not trying to say anything, is that because these are built for construction stuff and for things like that, that's the windows they already have in stock, tons of. They're not going to wait and order the ones without it and have a delay. Right. They're going to use what they have, build it, and go.
For those who haven't been on a real big construction site where you've got those trailers on average cost around $50,000, because that window bar unit is one integrated unit. So you can't just rip the bars out. It's also integrated into the container itself. So if you try ripping them bars off with a vehicle, you're actually going to pull 90% of that wall with it. That's how well they're integrated. So it's not like something they can take a bolt air wrench to and take them off. They don't come off that way.
They're meant to be very secure for the items that are stuck in there, almost like a wall safe. You don't want a wall safe to be easily taken apart. They don't want those bars easily taken off. They're just not going to take the time to remove them. So it's not that they're trying to keep people in. It's just the way it is. It's just made that. It just is what it is.
They have and comfort, and they're not worried about the political.
Listen, if you're sick
the
and
optics
you're dying,
of it doesn't matter. No, to them.
You're sick and you're dying, and you're going to be put in a room with bars. You're not going to be questioning it because you want to live. those people are humans too. And I think, we haven't talked too much about this. I mean, we've talked about the virus. We've talked about the infection rate and the death rate and everything. Let's be real. Those poor people over in China, they don't want to be sick. They don't want to be in rooms with bars. I mean, if you're claustrophobic, can you imagine being stuck in a room with bars? I almost think, honestly, if that was my choice, that Joe would have to leave me outside. There is no way I would go in a room with bars. I just wouldn't. I mean, that's got to be so, so, so scary for these people. And they are human beings just like we are. And we need to have some empathy and compassion for them and do whatever we can as humans, to help them survive and get better and work together. No matter what their government is, they're just people. They want to take care of their families. They want to feed their families. They want to live to be as old as they can and see their great-great-grandchildren. I hate to talk about them as statistics, the death rate and the infection rate and who's sick and who's gotten better. But these people are children. They're sisters, brothers, husbands, wives, grandparents. And we need to remember that in our prayers tonight.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, can you throw up Tibor's comment down there? The one between Kaylin and Lori, 8:59. It's about his when he worked the job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one that have been on a construction site where it's been like that.
Right.
And I haven't driven truck to a lot of construction sites delivering plywood and insulation and stuff. Every job site's got at least one, what they call a job site trailer. That is that. Some of them have 2 or 3 butted up or side by side to make a bigger office.
There you
Right. Exactly.
And that's why I moved us to your guys' back patio out there on the sand and the beach there.
Oh, look at that. I wish that was my backyard. That's my dream someday, to have that as a backyard.
All right. So I'm going to save that one. Done. Yeah, there's someone also made the comment down there about running low on medical staff as well.
Yeah, that's why China is shipping them in by the hundreds.
Yeah, they shipped in 1,850 so far.
Really? From where? Where are they getting them?
From all over China.
Wow.
They're military. You got to figure they got a 2
Yeah,
million
right, military. Yeah, they did mention the word.
All I can hope is that they give them the proper protection, unlike what they did with Ebola. Remember those poor medical staff that have no idea how this was actually being transferred, and they were just walking in and out.
I haven't heard much about the medical workers getting sick.
No, we have not. I mean, but they haven't told us who's getting sick. We don't actually know if any of those people getting sick are medical staff. They're not giving us details. And I think we heard something about ages at one point, but we don't know, 30 of them are nurses or 40 of them are nurses and doctors. We don't know that.
No, we don't.
Hopefully they're protecting them.
Right. The only person that I've seen medical wise, there's been 2. One was a doctor who was starting to put out the information originally.
Right, yes. I've seen a picture of him too. Yeah.
He got arrested and then came down with the virus. And other doctors who actually passed out from fatigue literally just fell to the floor, and everybody thought, the video said it was, oh, he died. No, he just passed out, because a couple days later, another video came out, him talking, saying, yeah, I passed out, and yes, I have the virus.
Wow.
That was the first week of January. The very first case of this was actually November 30th, or for our time, it was actually December 1st, their time.
Right.
That's the first reported case that I can find. That's why a couple weeks ago I said in my video, for what we know right now, at minimum, we're 14 days behind on actual reporting of numbers.
Oh, we're probably further than that, because they just don't have the tests. The test, first of all, the test, actual test. Second of all, who's running them? You can imagine. I mean, it's not like they have a staff of 40,000 people to run all of these tests. I mean, there's got to be a warehouse somewhere with tests up to the ceiling of samples that they've gotten that they just don't have the capacity to run the tests. So we hear about 5,000 positive results. Well, maybe that's all they ran that day.
Yeah.
Maybe they had 20,000 tests to do, but they could only do 5,000 tests, and all of them happen to be positive. We don't know those things.
Well, that's why I'm glad our CDC is actually taken. And and I made a comment a couple nights ago, and maybe they were watching and decided to take my advice. But I said a
Hopefully.
couple days ago on the live stream, they need to stop sending all these tests here in the U.S. to Atlanta to the CDC. They need to ship that test kit out to these hospitals and let them do it on site. Today, they announced that they were no longer having the kits shipped to Atlanta to be tested. They
Good.
were giving the hospitals the ability to do it on site. Now,
Good.
for what I know, that's to the 17 airports and air bases that they're shipping people to that come off the airplanes that test, that have fevers or whatever. Those people that are coming off airplanes with fevers are going to military bases. That's where most of those test kits are going, is to the military bases.
Good. I trust military to control this
Oh, yeah.
more than anyone.
Yeah.
Put that on the military bases. That's where they all need to go.
Yeah. I take it you've never been on a military base?
I was born on a military base, Eglin Air Force Base. That's where I was delivered.
That's funny.
I trust our military to take care of this about as much as I trust the House of Representatives to get anything done in the next 22 weeks.
Oh, no, that's sad. Don't say that.
I respect our military. Okay. I respect our military highly, but I respect the grunts. A lot of those yo-yos at the very top don't know their butts from the hole in the ground. We got some Obama holdovers that swear up and down that I better shut up. I don't want to go on that.
All right. Well, then we need
They're Obama holdovers. That could answer it.
There are some that have come through the ranks that don't have the administrative skills. They have the combat, they have the other skills, but they don't have the true administrative skills because they rely on their administrative assistants, the sergeants, the corporals, the lower ones to take care of it. But the majors and the colonels, they don't know, take care of this, take care of that. They give orders. They don't know how it functions. My wife was one of those staff sergeants.
So what you're telling me is they don't put doctors in charge of hospitals. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly.
Well, I would say, they may be a doctor. They may be some doctors in some hospitals, but over that doctor on the base,
there's some brigadier general
who doesn't know anything about medical,
who has no idea about respiratory or distancing or anything.
I totally believe that.
The last good general we had was General Mad Dog Maddox, and he's no
Oh,
longer.
I loved him. Oh, yes. God bless his soul.
Yep, he's not helping right now. I honestly think if he was still in a position of power, that a lot of these air bases would be a lot more locked down on what they are. There'd be a lot more precautions being taken in place, and a lot more medical staff at each one of them. I don't think he wouldn't give this a chance to get off that base.
No, he would not.
There is gaps in what I've seen in video on these bases that kind of makes me a little uneasy, but I don't run the military. I can't tell them what to do. But hey, if any military generals happen to watch this, you got some ideas how to take care of.
Go like this. Give me a call.
Please.
No, Dave, it's not going to be the unicorns from the rainbows that'll save us.
Yeah,
it's going to be the people boots on the ground that's going to save us.
Yep, there's no rainbows and unicorns in this channel.
All right, Joe's tired. I think we're gonna say goodnight, guys. It has been absolutely a dream to be with you guys. We're actually going to see Gil on the 15th.
Yep, on the 15th, Saturday the 15th.
That's good.
Yep.
All right.
And Dave will be back to talk about hopefully other things that are virus related in the future.
More related items that don't necessarily concern this.
That's right.
There you go.
Amen.
I'll give you guys the ins and outs of StreamYard.
You got it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have a good night, guys. Be safe.
All right. Everyone stay well. God bless.
Right. All righty. So you guys can go ahead and click down at the bottom where it says Leave Studio.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care. Good night.
All right, Dave. Anything else we want to chat about here before you call it quits?
I don't know. Side chat. Open thy mouth or type thy fingers.
I like Jay's comment there. Stovepipe command structure.
That's exactly what it is. You know, back in '85 when I left, the command chain structure was super rigid. And when somebody up top said something had to be done, it was done the right way. There was none of these gaps where paper got lost or this little T didn't get crossed and that I didn't get dotted. Everything was done to a degree perfectly. Now there's so many reports of, oh, this didn't get done the right way, or this didn't get happen because somebody forgot to cross that T or dot that I. You know, that stuff happens way too much now. So it's the leadership that needs to be held accountable, not the grunts on the ground. They only do what they're told to do, and they can only do it with what they're given.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just my personal opinion of that.
Yeah.
But again, guys, everything that we've been discussing for the last 2 weeks, both here on Gil's channel and Will's, it's just so you're got the information in your noggin. Don't smash your head on the wall and freak out because oh my gosh, it's there at our door. I mean, there was 2 cases presumed right here near me. Thank God they've proven negative. But I didn't freak out. I just made sure, okay, I've got sanitizer, I've got masks, I've got face protection. I need to find me a Tyvek suit. You know, I figured out what I had, what I didn't have, and I started working on getting the stuff I didn't have. It's just to be prepared. So you're smarter than the average Joe who is sitting there believing everything the MSM says, or mainstream media. I'm sorry.
I like CNN, Counterfeit News Network.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, but yeah, there's you do your own research, look for what you have. You know.
Yeah, the lost requisition form syndrome. Yeah. Hey, where'd those case M16s go? Which one? The one I requisitioned. Oh, I didn't get the requisition, sir. So now there's a case of M16s out missing somewhere. Okay, and it's happened with more than just that.
And I have no idea where they're at.
Yeah, nope.
I wish I did.
What do I go get them? That way I have them here.
Yep.
I liked playing with full auto. That was fun. But I don't want M16s. I want M203s. I want to be able to reach out and touch something and make it go boom.
203s.
You don't know what an M203 is? Ask
I'm
your
sorry.
wife.
Is that the 50 caliber sniper rifle?
No.
Bigger?
It's got more punch.
Well, one is the oh shoot. Begins with an A. It's a 20 millimeter sniper rifle. 2.7 mile range.
Yeah, but that only has a little boom. It reaches out there a long ways. It's great for small targets.
Well, you can replace that shell with something else that does go boom.
The M203 is a 40 millimeter grenade launcher racked up underneath an M16.
40 millimeter. Okay, the grenade.
Yep. I like that. That was my favorite toy.
What was the one? M134.
Yeah, it's all right. My other favorite toy was a dragon.
Yes, I know. I got the picture of the dragon with the our local neighborhood watch girl holding it.
Yep,
yeah,
my favorite toy. One-man operation. I did work on a tow crew, which is a Jeep. At the time, it was a Jeep. Now it's a Humvee mounted wire-guided missile.
Yeah,
those were kind of fun, but I didn't like having to tell 4 other guys what the hell to do. Because I got
lost reality swaps. What Tibor's talking about.
That is a quote from a TV show.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, you are in bad shape. Does the name Adam Savage ring a bell?
No.
Adam Savage. He was the
Who?
Adam Savage.
Oh, Mythbusters.
Mythbusters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nick
Well,
Dorsey should
yeah.
put that all-
He did that a whole bunch, but it came from someplace else long before Adam started using it.
Okay, look at the side chat here.
All right. And nothing much happening in the chat. We got 16 watching. So,
Mhm.
guys, come on.
Come on, any more questions? I got a few more minutes left in me before I fall down.
All right. Let
Or
me
kick my cat in the butt because it's
throw something else here. Let's documents.
I can go ahead and close that one out now.
Let me go down here. No, this one here.
Boy, my computer's acting really flaky.
I'm trying to find something here. Where is it?
Yeah, we had one person join the
Yeah.
Discord channel.
So if oh dang it, I
There's
dropped this again, dang it. If anybody doesn't know what he's talking about for the dragon, there you go. There's the dragon.
Hold on, it's gone. There it is.
Yeah. And that's our neighborhood watch. I wish.
Well, considering she's wearing an Israeli uniform.
Uniform. Yeah, I know. Okay, sorry, let me get over here and bring up this thing again. But yeah, that's there. Yeah. This one. Is this the one? Yeah, there's the my dream toy.
My computer's acting really bad.
Yeah. So that's the 20 millimeter
Anti-tank weapon.
yeah. And what I called it was I put this up on Facebook. Attention pedophiles. Yeah. So yeah. So I let them know anybody messes with my grandkid, I will go out and I'll find one of those and I will go after them. But yeah. You look at that 7.2 miles and it comes with a silencer built into it.
Yeah, it's still not very quiet.
Yeah.
Well, Tibor, if you can get me a Dillon minigun, I'll take it.
Yeah, we are at 14 watching. Okay, so
No,
yeah.
Jay, you're still not safe. What, you want that?
No, that's just my schedule of stuff I'm working on right now. So tomorrow morning is my Thursday morning talk at 9 o'clock. Friday, I'm going to be doing on EMP. And Survival Saturday is going to be a weird one. It's going to, or Saturday, it's going to be love. How does it affect your prepping? Seriously, I've talked to a lot of people say, well, I'm all in for it, but my wife isn't, or my husband isn't. So
I have no concerns in that department.
yeah. And then next Tuesday, I was talking with Dan after the chat. We're going to do clothing myths, in fact, natural fibers versus synthetics. So that's what's coming up here. These are not, the rest of these are not set up for permanent. They're just ideas. And other people I'm going to be doing my lives with, kick them around, see what you want to do.
Gil, did you order your bank line?
No, I did not order bank line.
No, Tibor asked.
No, I did not order bank line. I got it on my list here. I went and added it to my tactical stuff on my Amazon shopping list.
That is currently 212 miles long. Yeah, I quit making wish lists because I kept getting more and more depressed every time I'd look at it and realize some of those items I'll never get.
Well, I put them on my wish list because if they're on there, my wife can go in and look at it, and she sees something I haven't gotten. It's been on there for 2 years, and she sees the price drop. Sometimes, once in a while, she'll say, "I just noticed the price dropped on this a whole bunch. You've had it in a while. Why haven't you bought it?" I'm waiting for you to tell me to buy it. Happy wife, happy life.
Uh-huh. See, again, I have no concerns in that department.
Well, we'll have to fix you up there.
Oh, hell no. This old fart ain't dealing with that stress and drama caused by a relationship. I don't have enough time. I spend more time dealing with my son and then working on this stuff. If I had one, I'd have to give something up. And I ain't giving up my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, Lori, in Canada, they don't have the protections in place for you guys. Our government has already told Amazon that they need to tell their sellers that they can't jack up the price on a lot of items. Some of them are
Oh,
still doing it, but those people are actually overseas. Anything that's currently here in the U.S. has to maintain its price.
I
Now, if
found
the
I
U.S. is
found how
out,
they're getting around that.
oh yeah, there's ways around it.
No,
But
what they're doing is I found the one they were selling the mask at the price it was 3 weeks ago. I mean, the masks. You get
Mhm.
10 of them, they were $1.10 each. However, it was $65 shipping.
Mhm.
They didn't say anything about shipping costs. So handling and shipping, they're jacking that up.
Yep. So be careful when you go to do something. Double check your shipping before you click accept.
Hmm
Or you
About
could
blew me
go
out of the
back.
water when I saw that. I saw, oh, cool, they got it. I started putting my box, went to clay. Whoa, wait a minute, $65. What the heck's that?
Yeah, I've ran into
Delete.
that a few times. There's something that I've really wanted and see a price, $65. Holy cow, that's really dropped. I'm put it in my shopping cart, and all of a sudden I see the shipping and handling cost of 170 some dollars. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Contact eBay. The shipping is outrageous on this. I do not want to buy this. And 99.9% of the time, eBay says, yeah, we agree, and I don't get charged. I don't get a negative buyer report for it.
Yeah.
That's why I've actually switched to putting things in cart, not agreeing to buy right off the bat. Put things in cart first. That way you can get a chance to see the shipping costs.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Lori was looking at some of those masks in there. I guess
And
the half face
unfortunately,
mask.
I can't order it here and ship it to you for the same reason that you can't order it off the American one. It would get to customs and it would get dropped right there, and they'd lose it.
Yeah.
If you don't know how bad customs is, ask Kaylin about MREs. They go through MREs and take the main courses out of a lot of them and just ship the rest of the stuff back, which makes no sense. Why would they just take the main course? But that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go back. Where was that one that Lori put? Okay. $35. Okay. Lori, I noticed that on a couple of the ones here, depending who the seller is, the price even here, on the one is $16.25 on the one, 31 from a different seller, 28 from a different seller, the exact same mask, 28. Yeah. So
Hey, my customs isn't bad. It's the U.S. customs that stink. Make sure you type that stuff correctly. She said my customs. It ain't my customs.
we're shipping to you. It's your guys' customs stopping it. Does that mean a delivery truck driver is wearing a mask when he drops your box off at the door?
Well, if you ordered masks and the delivery driver is wearing something similar to what you ordered, I would just put return to sender because a good chance your box is empty. Not that ever happens anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, here a few more minutes, folks. Any more questions, comments,
Yeah.
concerns, thoughts, theories? And we'll give 5 minutes for rabbit holes. But that's it.
Wait, Steve's not here.
Yeah, he won't come back to mine, so that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there is ooh,
Yeah,
no.
I'm not. Well, this old boy's allergic to it. Me and the lanolin don't get along.
Well, see, Jay, that's why you don't get regular wool. You get alpaca wool, and that is a different type wool than sheep's wool. It is soft. It is nice. And it's people that are allergic to sheep wool. A lot of them are not allergic to alpaca wool.
I ain't paying the price for it. You see how much this stuff costs?
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to get a bunch to race here, but my wife said, no, we don't know about it, blah, 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 blah. And I missed out on buying 7 of them for 7 alpacas, 2 male studs, and the rest were females, and 2 of them were young breeders. And I could have picked them up for 17,000, which was way below normal cost. The guy was retiring. And he was just up the road here in Idaho Falls. And it was like, anyways.
Yeah, you don't have enough property to properly take care of even 7 of them, let alone youngins. Let alone have a place set up. You'd have to buy property somewhere else out to raise them. Because the one that's down from me, they have 50 head, and those 50 head are running on like 60 acres total between all the areas they've got them running. I mean, they've got it spread out quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They can move them to different types of year.
I talked to the guy, and he said for those I would need at least 2 acres. I got 2.5, but I would have to be feeding them. They would not be grazing. They'd be fed and everything.
Yes, Jay, they do.
No, clarification. Alpacas and llamas both will spit. However, alpacas will only spit if you piss them off. Llamas and camels will spit at you just for walking by. There's a difference. Check Daniel Arms out, Arms Family Homestead. They just got some of them. They will spit, but you got to be really pissing them off for them to spit at you. Pardon my French.
I don't get that close to the ones down here because, I didn't really want to pull up to the guy's fence line and stand there with Charles looking at him and have him not knowing exactly what we're doing. And driving up their driveway, it's a long driveway.
Yeah.
And they don't look like they're the friendliest of people the way they've got everything situated. It looks like they might be underground preppers. And I don't want to take the chance and I'm walking out with a 12 gauge. What are you doing here? My kid wanted to see your pets.
He wanted to see your donkey poodles. That would probably just make him bust up laughing and fall on the ground laughing.
Yeah, but there's a problem. Depending on the 12 gauge, it might go off anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Lori, they will keep coyotes away from other animals and stuff. That's one of the reasons why Daniel got him, was to hopefully keep the predators away from his Kiko goats, his beef goats.
Not my kind of idea of food.
What, goats?
Exactly.
Actually, I've been reading a lot of it, and they make some really good jerky out of them and stuff. You have to be the ones that are specifically for goat meat. It's like you got a Jersey cow versus a Black Angus. One's a beefer, one's a milker.
And Tibor has a point. The way their house is set up, and the garage window that's actually even with the driveway, entrance to the driveway, and their front window, it wouldn't be hard to zero a target. It's about 180 feet, if not 200, from the windows to the edge of the driveway. It's not a hard zero. It'd be pretty easy. I'd just like to go see what they got inside that dang big barn they got out back. Probably got some really nice toys. Oh, these people got money.
Yeah.
Lots of money. I mean, their house alone is a $250,000 home. Yeah. That's not counting the property it sits on or the rest of the property they got. I mean, the guy drives around in a red it's an H2 Hummer with a flatbed. Lifted.
Oh, he has the flat. So he has that's the H3 then. The pickup one.
H2 flatbed.
H2.
H3s are actually nothing more than a Colorado frame with a Hummer body.
Mm.
H2s are a more of a Bronco frame, not Bronco, Suburban frame.
Hmm.
When they made H3, they shrank it, made it look stupid. But that's a chat for another day.
Well, that's why you go over there to Plan B, and you get one. You get the real deal.
Trust me, if I could, I would.
Yeah.
Even if it was a stock Hummer, you can get one of those for like $6,000.
Yeah.
Get it shipped here for about another 2,400. So for under 10,000, I could actually have an actual military Hummer. Just don't have
Yeah.
that.
Hey,
Take
Sandra.
Boy. Oh, kidding.
Yeah. You know, don't worry. You can catch it was really good. You may want to catch it on the on a rerun. You know, go back and watch it tomorrow.
Yep. We started early again, Sandra. We started this one at 9 tonight. All right. Night, Lori. Have a good night.
All righty. Take care.
And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. H3 for soccer moms.
I wouldn't even give it
No. Those soccer moms, what they want is the Ford Excursion, which was built on the 1-ton F350 frame. It was nicknamed the urban assault vehicle for soccer moms.
Yeah, I'd rather have a deuce and a half too, because then I could take up like 5 parking spots out up front. Oh, did I say that? I'm kidding. I really wouldn't do that way. But it would irritate a lot of people around here because they don't understand. Most of the people around here think I'm a kook because I have water stored. Why you got water stored? We'll always have water. All you gotta do is turn the faucet on. Really?
You wait for some newbie on a backhoe digging a ditch and all of a sudden rip out your water line. Oops.
Unfortunately, because we're actually sitting on an edge of a hill, most of our water lines are buried pretty deep. That's not as much of a possibility as having the power go out for 2 weeks in town here, and the water plant didn't have any backup fuel for the generator for like 2 days, and water actually stopped flowing.
Yeah. Well, when I was working construction, we were working on a job over in South San Francisco. Now, San Francisco has its hills and stuff, but the hills in South San Francisco, really steep. And they were tiered into the side of the hill going up there, and we were putting in the sewer and the water lines and stuff for phase 3. And another company had phase 2. Phase 1 was already in, had people living in it up on the very top. And so this is down below. And the guy on there was, they were telling him, slow down, you're going to hit something. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, grabbed hold of the 12-inch T on the water main and popped it off. On that hill, all that water coming down that pipe just came flying down there. And people say water heaters can't collapse. They need to go check that out, because we were there and we could hear the water tanks, the water heaters in all the houses crushing from the vacuum pressure, and just, pump, pow, pow, pow. And we're like, what, is someone shooting at us or what? And yeah, that's what it was. All that created such a suction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, hey, they're up on the hill. Their water lines are deep, but he was down at the bottom where it tied into the main, and he ripped that T off.
That's why if you live in a tall apartment building, make sure you're sitting on the bottom 3 floors, because that way, if power is lost and water pressure is lost, all that water is actually going to be flowing down to you for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't want to see a new 75 interchange. Come on. They just got done building 3 of them in the last 22 years. It took them 20 years to finish the one up in Dayton. Literally 20 years to finish an interchange between I-70 and I-75. 20 doggone years.
Yeah, in California down there, on the East Bay, south of Oakland, heading down towards Fremont and stuff. There's where Interstate 580 comes in, and it makes an interchange there, and it heads north a little bit. And most of the traffic though continues on. Shoot, forgot the name of that highway, but it goes over and connects to Interstate 80. They were redoing that interchange, and Caltrans says, "All right, it's going to take 5 years to do this." And they had a big meeting and stuff, talking about all the bidders and stuff. And it was funny. The owner of the company was there. Usually he doesn't go to the bids, but he was there. And he goes, "Bullshit, we can get it done in 2." Our part of the job was done in 18 months. Yeah, because there's a little known fact that if you beat the time frame on the contract, it's called liquid asset bonus.
Yep.
And yeah, he was notorious for picking up the liquid asset bonus.
Well, maybe they should have put him on building that stupid train system they were going to build down there.
Yeah.
You want to say hi to everybody again?
Ooh, Tibor says it's coming just south of 63.
Yeah, that's 3.3 miles south of me.
Alrighty, we're down to 10.
Yep. Looks like everybody's falling off their chairs and going to bed.
Alrighty.
I think that's what my cat's trying to tell me too. Time to go to bed, Dad. Let's go.
Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and get one last update on this, see if this changes any on this
Which
map.
one?
The John Hopkins. I've seen it change 3 times on me today.
Yep.
Yeah, it went up a little more. We are now, we cracked the 500 mark for death. We're at 565 now.
That matches the one I was showed earlier then.
Yeah, and we got 28.27.4 for confirmed cases.
Yep. If you guys want to check one out, I'll type it in chat here.
Is that new map?
Yeah, it's called Rylab Stats. Go look that up on YouTube, and that currently has a running live tally of what's going on.
Control C. That's in YouTube, you said?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so I got to go on YouTube for it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't. I just got to go into Google and it says YouTube channel right there. Let's see what this says. And there it is. Pull that out. That's their #1 hit right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my computer's not even pulling up web pages, so.
Yeah, okay. Right now, the whole world is white except for China, and down into the Philippines, which is red. And it's going through a cycle.
Yeah, it cycles, so you can get different interpretations of the colors.
Yeah. Now we got the red, white, and blue up there.
I'm sorry, but that map's just not very patriotic, in my opinion.
No. And it shows. Did you want me to share this or?
Yeah, if you want, I'll show it one more time.
Okay, let me share screen. Bingo. Share, and let me put this on larger view. Come on, enlarge all the way. It's trying. There we go.
So there's current map. That actually shows the Johns Hopkins doesn't show the suspected cases. This one does.
And it cycles through to the next one. Those are the confirmed cases. Australia has 14, Germany has 12, Hong Kong 21, Canada let's say Canada has 5 cases.
Up from-
US has 12 cases.
like we were discussing when Doc was on here, that the white you see, the white and blue is what mainstream isn't talking about, and there's no health care down there to speak of. You know, it's you got missionaries down there, you know, very poor conditions. And what happens if a missionary catches it and comes back to the U.S. or goes back to their country that they're from without knowing they got it? It could spark all over again.
Yeah, hang on a second here. All right, Finland, Belgium, Spain. Okay, they are starting to show some of those. Sweden, Russia. Russia has 2 Russia has 2 cases. Britain has 2. Italy has 2.
Well, just remember, the U.S. started off with just 2.
Yeah, and now we're at 12. Oh, and what I really loved is that the 2 in Central California at whatever it is, they've actually shipped them up to San Francisco, and they're at the UC San Francisco Hospital. So, how did they get transported up there? Did they decontaminate that transport, or did it go? Was it just a transport ambulance, and now it's transporting somebody else all being properly contaminated?
Well, with the amount of restrictions our CDC put on it to begin with, I'd say they actually probably did a good job of cleaning it. Because our CDC, even though they haven't went public with everything they're doing, they seem to be trying to do a very good job of it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there's more things that they should be doing that they haven't been doing.
Yeah. It's so.
But see, China made a mistake. China said the U.S. could send it over some CDC people. Now, did they force them to sign an NDA? Which, for those who don't know what that is, that's a non-disclosure agreement. Because if they didn't, our people won't say nothing once they're there. But once they come back here, they will let the cats out of the bag.
Yeah. Of course, then, it also may turn into a political thing. All right, what are you going to give us to keep our mouths shut, China?
Let's see. Let's just say we no longer owe you any money. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Because he owes China a crap ton of money.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go ahead and pop this back down, and I'm going to take a look at the other map here. And so,
Yeah, that one's caught up.
that one has caught up.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that first number, 28,274.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, that's jumped from, I think, 21 to 28.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's going up ridiculous. The I think we're into what's probably cycle 4 or 5 on that chart I had.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one doctor that you and I've been sharing back and forth, he actually posted that there is a logarithmic chart that they're following, and it's almost spot on as far as the numbers every day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some people are trying to shut him up.
Yeah. So let's look at US. Fly over here to the United States. And ever since they made this recovered list up here so wide, it blocks off a lot of this. But we have down here, we have 1 in Orange County, or 1 in Orange, 1 in Los Angeles. These 2 here in San Benito have been moved up to San Francisco. These 2 in Santa Clara are still down there at I think they moved them into down there at the University Hospital down there to track them. We have Seattle has 1.
Tell us, Jay. North Korea isn't going to tell us anything.
Yeah.
We could send them $200 million in gold and they still wouldn't tell us nothing.
Yeah. Vancouver has 2. It said over here, okay, we have down here by Phoenix, it's actually Tempe, Arizona has 1. Chicago has 2 confirmed. And then the new one today is Madison, Wisconsin. And then in Boston, we have one in Boston confirmed. Then across the way here in London, Canada, they have one. In Toronto, they have two. So that's two. So two in British Columbia. So that Canada has 5. Yeah, 5. So we got 17 in North America above the Mexican border.
Right. Mexico is several possible.
Yeah.
Which it's not showing on that map because they don't want the general public to see that information.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest issue with this whole thing. Too many people are trying to cover up too much. Be honest. Tell us the whole truth. We're human enough. Most of us are smart enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yes, Jay, that's the one. But the guy from Peak Prosperity has been getting hammered a lot lately.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like he posted in his last video, what he stated 2 weeks ago, now they're saying.
Yeah. And I know everyone's on their thing about it's that, so and so said this and so said that, but until I see them put out numbers on it, scientific numbers, and they have a bunch of letters after their names, such as PhD, MD, master's, their master's degree and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like everything I say, it's like, hey, take my stuff with a grain of salt, go do your own research.
Yep. And Tibor, there's actually 2 up in Cleveland that are undergoing testing, not just one. There's 2 in Cleveland. They had 2 down here by us, and there was 2 up in Cleveland.
Yeah. And those were from the university students, right? Sorry, Dave, I stepped on you. What was that?
Just tell Free Press, have a good night.
Okay. Night, Free Press. The ones that in Ohio, the possibles are all college students.
I don't know about the 2 up in Cleveland, just the 2 that were down here by me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were college students who had been over to Hubei.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what's. I know the here in Idaho, University of Boise, there is on lockdown for any travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they're going to do about people coming back. Probably tell you, hey, nope, you're going to isolation until you're proven clear, and then you're going to stay 4 more days. Make sure you stay clear.
Problem is, it doesn't mean nothing because they're still, even after their fever and all that's broke, they're still asymptomatic because they still have a chance to transmit it. Even after they have been treated and released from the hospital, they're still carriers delivering the virus. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about just anyone that just come in and travel, just, they get tested before, find out. But yeah, if anybody, anyone that comes down with it, I mean, yeah, I'm thinking at least a 3-week isolation quarantine.
Days should be sufficient because the guy in Germany, patient 0, that infected 3 others,
right,
after being infected by the lady from China. He was no longer symptomatic. He didn't have any virus in any culture after a total of 21 days. So in my personal opinion, and it's just mine, anybody that's being on quarantine needs to be in there at least 21 days. Yeah, that number sucks. I'd hate to be somebody under that quarantine, but to save a life, to make sure nobody else gets infected, I think is worth it.
Yeah. So anyone's wondering what we're talking about, that's this right here. So the index patient, which was a Chinese national, came over for a business meeting, attended the business meeting, flew back to China, and came down with symptoms the next day. In the business meeting was patient 1 and patient 2. Patient 1 attended the meetings with him for 2 days, and patient 2 only 1 day. Patient 1 came down with symptoms, and before the symptoms began, was in meetings with patients, had contact with patient 3 and patient 4. He was the person from China did not have any contact at all with patient 3 or patient 4. Only patient 1 did, not patient 2. So almost immediately, I would say, like, he got contact here. This next day, he passed it on to this one. It had to, because it had to be that fast. 24 hours, he was contagious. And so, and then he had contact for several days with this one, but these two here came down. And look at the time frame when they came down. I'm betting this one came down on the 22nd, 21st or 22nd is when patient 4 came down with it. But you can see the symptoms of when they're getting the symptoms. And yeah, and they had symptoms that they came back positive, on what these are here. This here is what's scary is he was exposed on the 20th, and on the 21st had to be contagious to be able to give it to patient 3, because he did not see patient 3 after that. So in 24 hours, after being exposed, he was contagious.
The scariest part is look at patient 4. For the simple fact is patient 1 he's considered patient 0.
Right.
Because he's the start of a chain. Patient 0 infected patient 3, or well, in this case 4, 2 days after meeting the lady from Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, that means even though he didn't develop symptoms until several days later, he was asymptomatic, and he passed on. He is a carrier and deliverer of a very bad item to somebody 3 times removed.
Yeah.
So technically, the R naught value, that right there shows an R naught of 3. If you follow the numbers for an R naught of 3 alone, the numbers they're giving us are so far underreported, it's pathetic. And every government in the world should hold China accountable for the underreporting. They won't. Right there.
Yeah, there's your R naught 3. So that would be,
we're already 10 cycles in. Almost, So take the number in column 10, add that again, and add that again, because we are now going into February. So,
that's what's going on in China.
Right. I can't read it here.
This says 19,683 for cycle 10. However, you also have that's just what happens in cycle 10. You still have to add all these numbers back into it. So you're looking at 20.
No.
You're looking at almost at 30,000.
Well, times that number right there, that 19,683 by 3.
By 3 for cycle 11.
We're into 30th. We are into the 30th cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's had 30 cycles. That number where it says 20, that number is off.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 20 cycle says 1,160,000,000.
Yeah, that number's off.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would be, I can't explain it easily, but that number 10 times it by 3, because we are in the 30th cycle of transmissibility. So for an R naught of 3, times that by 3 is the minimum number of cases currently out there right now, 99% of which we are unaware of, because like we stated earlier in the stream, and Doc himself said it, a lot of those patients in China, especially in ground zero in Wuhan province, aren't going to a doctor because either A, they can't, they're too far away, B, they went to the doctor and got told to go back home because they didn't have it, which they do have it, and now they're finding out and can't get medical care, or just plain don't tell nobody even though they got it.
They know how bad it is at the hospitals, and they're not sure if they have it or not, and they don't want to go in.
Plus, they're seeing all these people get yanked out of apartments and businesses, dragged out, thrown in the back of vehicles, and those people aren't being heard from for a while, if ever again. So that's a scare tactic. That's draconian measures that have been put in place by China. China doesn't want people to know about it, just like they don't want people to know what they do to Christians, what they're doing to Muslims. If you don't have the Chinese government's view on religion, then it's wrong. And for the last several years, they've been showing exposés on multiple channels. Even our own mainstream media has said something about it, about the fact that they are now sending government agents into churches to make sure that what they're preaching doesn't violate the government's policy. And if it does, they destroy the church. They arrest the pastor. So we got a strange vehicle that just pulled in.
Yeah. All righty.
So, I mean, the possibilities are there that they are hiding things. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that possibility is there, going by their proven track record.
Yeah, Tibor put a good note down there about Typhoid Mary.
Oh, she was a meanie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's out, but it could severely impede their progress.
Yeah.
Because if this goes on for, right now the markets are doing all kinds of dancing, the jig and stuff. And the problem I see, and I'm not a financial expert by any means. Right now, everybody's saying China's put money into their stuff to protect what's going on.
They can only put so much in.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I just got an email today. Let me go back up here. Close that. Go into my retirement folder, which I get all my retirement emails sent to, and retirement. And this is on my thrift savings plan. The title on this email is several TSP funds drop in January, and they were supposed to be climbing in January.
Well, the problem is right now everything is climbing. Everything, airplane companies, whatever.
Yeah.
The transportation airport people, these airlines. That's what I'm trying to say. Airlines are showing record increases right now, even with them not flying to China.
Yeah. But there's a lot of the thrift savings plans are tied up in stock.
Mm-hmm.
And on some of it is international stocks, the I fund, and I haven't gone in to look to see what it says here. It's trying to open up.
But
okay,
if this continues for, I say, another 5 months, the economic repercussions will start to hurt everybody, because 30% of all trade goods are either manufactured or shipped through China.
Yeah.
Other countries have their stuff. I mean, the U.S. is one of the biggest ones. But when you figure a world economy, 30% of it has to go through at least China, either for shipping reasons or whatever, or it's manufactured there. Take 30% of the world GDP and just throw it in the garbage. A lot of countries are going to suffer immensely because of it. You want me to share that?
Yeah, you can share this. So let me see if I can make this thing any bigger though. Here, this is in Firefox, and I can't make it bigger quick. Anyways, I'll just give you the numbers here. Basically, you got the L income, L 2020, L 2030, L 2040, L 2050, G fund, F fund, C fund, S fund, and I fund. The year to date, the L income has gone up 0.01%. The next one has gone down. The next one's gone down 0.45%. Next one's gone down 9%, 0.59%, 0.71% down. You get back into the government fund and the bond funds. They're actually they made money. Those are the only ones that made money. The C fund, the S fund, and the international fund. International fund's gone down 2.73% so far this year. And this is the thrift savings plan is what just about every government agency has their employees on, besides the regular the federal retirement fund. And so taking a hit in 1 month of 2.7% is a big hit. Now, I've been on this for about 17 years, so 18 years now. So
Yep. There is a chance, albeit right now a small one, which can grow exponentially if this isn't curtailed quickly, for the economies to hit a speed bump, shall we say. And that speed bump depends entirely upon how well each country can minimize its impact. Right now, the U.S. is on a high, economically. But considering there is a lot of debt owed to China, and a lot of our products either are shipped into or gotten from China, it could impact us drastically.
Yeah.
They just agreed to buy rice doesn't mean we can ship rice in right now. Awful strange that they actually signed the trade agreement right as the news broke of the coronavirus being almost out of hand over there, where it hadn't spread to anywhere else in the world yet.
Yeah.
So it's awful strange. Pretty convenient.
I don't know, Tibor, if the Panama Canal is operated by the Chinese, but I know in the Philippines, the power system has all been taken over by the Chinese, and they're operating it for them. And they stopped producing the manuals in Tagalog or English. It's only in Chinese now, and the Philippine government has acted on that. They said, no. You need to make sure these manuals are in our languages as well.
Well, we're dropping. We're losing people.
Yeah. Well, we've been hanging on 8 here for a while.
Yep.
But yeah, go ahead and kill that there.
And it's midnight here, and I got to get the kid up in a couple hours. Oh yeah.
Yep. All right. So I saved that one. I did save that one.
For Tibor, but it could be. I'm not saying it's going to be, but it could be, and the information is out there for everybody to go to look up yourselves, that it could be a serious issue. So it's better to have information and find out the information wasn't as bad as was originally thought it could be, than to not have information and wake up one morning going, oh my God, where'd the world go? I'd rather be awake than asleep.
Yeah.
And I know most of the people that watch my channel also prefer to be awake as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather have it, be ready for it and stuff. And if it happens, I'm ready. If it doesn't happen, hey, I'm ready for the next time.
Exactly.
And then I can get more ready for the next one.
And I'd really rather have Doc Bones and Nurse Amy up here to talk something other than medical stuff like this.
Yeah. So,
because what I may try and do is I can in March, if we're still up and running healthily, when I can get suspicious observers, Ben Davison on here, I might try to get Ben and Doc Bones and Nurse Amy all on the same panel. Because that way we can correlate different aspects of prepping all into one section, and everybody can learn from it. All right, have a good night. We're going to go ahead and close her down here in a minute too.
Yeah. So if things on this have turned around and have died down by the 15th, Doc and Amy will be talking about general survival medical topics on mine. So if it's still wound up, we may try to do both. Touch a little bit about on the dragon in the room, and then try to just get on general stuff what everybody needs to be doing. And
With that, we'll catch everybody on the next live stream. Until then, be safe. If you prepare for most everything, you will be prepared for most anything. That's what I got to say.
yep, stay happy, stay safe. See you on the next flop.
God bless. Hold on. Wow. My computer's really slow.